You know that moment when you realize you've made the biggest mistake of your life? Mine happened at a baby shower. Not my baby shower, because the baby growing inside me wasn't technically mine. I was just the vessel, the generous sister, the family hero. God, I was such an idiot. My name is Tori, and 6 months ago, I thought I was doing the most beautiful thing in the world. My younger sister, Bridget, had been trying to get pregnant for 2 years with no luck. The doctors said her chances were slim, and watching her cry every month when her period came was like watching someone slowly break apart. Tori, you're the only person I trust with this, she'd said, gripping my hands across the kitchen table. You're the strongest person I know. You've always taken care of me. Caden, her husband, nodded earnestly beside her. We'd be forever grateful. This would complete our family. I should mention that Bridget has always been the golden child, the pretty one, the charming one, the one who could talk her way out of anything. Me? I'm the responsible older sister who fixes problems and pays bills on time. I manage construction projects for a living, which basically means I'm professional at cleaning up other people's messes. So when they asked me to carry their baby, it felt like the most important thing I'd ever been asked to do. Of course, I'd said without hesitation. Of course I'll do this for you. The paperwork was extensive. Contracts, medical forms, legal documents that made my head spin. But Bridget was so excited, bouncing around the lawyer's office like a kid on Christmas morning. This is really happening, she kept saying. We're going to be parents. The pregnancy took on the first try. Bridget cried happy tears when I called her with the news. Caden whooped so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. For months, everything was perfect. They came to every doctor's appointment, holding hands in the waiting room like teenagers. Bridget would put her hand on my belly and talk to the baby about all the adventures they'd have together. She bought tiny clothes and decorated the nursery with more enthusiasm than I'd seen from her about anything. You're glowing, Mom would say whenever she saw me. This is such a blessing for the whole family. Mom, Seela, was nervous about the whole arrangement, but she tried to be supportive. She'd hover during family dinners, asking if I needed anything, if I was eating enough, if the baby was moving normally. Her anxiety was exhausting, but I understood it. This wasn't exactly conventional. My best friend Ivy was more direct about her concerns. Are you sure about this? She asked early on. Like, really sure? Because once that baby comes, everything changes. It's Bridget, I'd replied. She's my sister. She'd do the same for me. Ivy had given me a look I couldn't quite read. Would she, though? I'd brushed off her doubt. Ivy had never really understood my relationship with Bridget. She didn't grow up with us, didn't see how Bridget used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, or how she'd beg me to read her stories when Mom was working late shifts. Bridget needed protecting, and I was good at protecting people. But looking back now, I can see the signs I missed. The way Bridget started checking her phone constantly during doctor visits. How she'd mention friends who were traveling to Europe or buying new cars. The subtle shift in her voice when she talked about the baby. Less excitement, more obligation. Sarah just got back from Thailand, she'd say, scrolling through Instagram. The pictures are incredible. I can't remember the last time Caden and I went anywhere exotic. You'll travel when the baby's older, I'd reassure her. Lots of families do that. She'd nod, but something in her expression had already started to change. The baby shower was Bridget's idea. She wanted to celebrate, she said. Show everyone how grateful she was. I sat in the chair of honor, opening gifts that would go to my sister's house, accepting congratulations for a baby I'd hand over in 3 months. You're amazing for doing this, everyone kept saying. What a gift you're giving them. I felt proud, useful, like I was finally the star of the family story instead of just the supporting character. I thought being a surrogate was the most selfless thing I could do. Turns out, it would also be the act that broke me but made me unstoppable. Because 3 weeks after that baby shower, everything fell apart. The restaurant was one of those trendy places with exposed brick and overpriced salads. Bridget had picked it, of course. She was already seated when I waddled in, my 6-month belly making everything awkward. Caden stood up to pull out my chair, all smiles and gentleman manners. "You look great, Tori," he said. "Really glowing." "Thanks." I settled into the chair with a grunt. This little one's been doing gymnastics all morning. Bridget barely looked up from her phone. "Oh, that's nice. The server came over and we ordered. I got the salmon, doctor's orders for omega-3s. Bridget ordered a salad she'd probably pick at, and Caden got a burger. Normal lunch, normal conversation about work and the weather. Then Bridget put her phone down and looked at me with this weird expression. "So, we need to talk about something," she said. "Okay." I took a sip of water. "What's up?" She glanced at Caden, who suddenly became very interested in his napkin. "Well, we've been thinking a lot about everything." Everything meaning the baby situation. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. "What about it?" Bridget leaned forward, her voice taking on that sweet tone she used when she wanted something. "You know how much we appreciate what you're doing. You're incredible, really. But we've realized that maybe this isn't the right time for us." The words didn't make sense. I stared at her. "What do you mean, not the right time?" "We're just in a different place now than we were 6 months ago," Caden said, finally speaking up. "Our priorities have shifted." "Shifted how?" Bridget waved her hand like she was swatting away a fly. "We want to travel more, experience life before we get tied down. Kids are such a huge responsibility, and we're not sure we're ready for that level of commitment." I felt like I was underwater, everything muffled and strange. "Bridget, I'm 6 months pregnant. With your baby." "Well, technically it's not our baby yet," she said. "I mean, legally speaking." "What the hell does that mean?" "It means we've changed our minds," Caden said. "People are allowed to change their minds." I looked back and forth between them. Bridget was examining her manicure. Caden was staring at his burger like it held the secrets of the universe. "Are you serious right now?" My voice came out louder than I intended. A couple at the next table glanced over. "Don't make a scene," Bridget hissed. "We're just being honest about our feelings." "Your feelings?" I pressed my hands against my belly. "I'm carrying your child. I've been throwing up for months. My back is killing me. I can't sleep. I had to buy a whole new wardrobe." "And we're grateful," Bridget interrupted. "But we can't force ourselves to want something we don't want anymore. So what exactly are you suggesting?" She shrugged. "You'll figure something out. You're good at that. You always land on your feet." The casual cruelty of it hit me like a slap. "You want me to just, what, keep the baby?" "Or don't," Caden said. "That's your choice to make." "My choice?" I stood up so fast my chair scraped against the floor. "This was never supposed to be my choice. This was your dream, your family, your—" "Lower your voice," Bridget snapped. "People are staring. Let them stare." I was shaking now, rage and disbelief coursing through me. "You asked me to do this. You begged me. I put my entire life on hold for you." "Nobody forced you," Bridget said coldly. "You volunteered. Because you're my sister. Because I thought you actually wanted this baby." "We did want it. Past tense. Things change, Tori. Grow up." I stared at her. This person who looked like my sister but felt like a stranger. "Who are you?" "I'm someone who's honest about what she wants instead of just going along with everyone else's expectations." "Honest?" I laughed, but it came out harsh and bitter. "You've been planning this, haven't you? Both of you. How long have you been waiting to drop this bomb?" Neither of them answered. "How long, Bridget?" "A few weeks," she mumbled. "A few weeks." I grabbed my purse. "Unbelievable." "Where are you going?" Caden asked. "Away from you two." I started the walking toward the exit, then turned back. "And just so we're clear, this isn't over. Not even close." I made it to my car before the tears started. Sitting in the parking lot, sobbing into my steering wheel, I felt something I'd never felt toward my sister before. Pure, burning hatred. That's when I noticed the manila folder on my passenger seat. The surrogacy contract I'd grabbed from my kitchen counter that morning, meaning to file it away. I opened it with shaking hands and started reading. I called Ivy before I even left the parking lot. They what? She screamed into the phone. Are you kidding me right now? I wish I was. I wiped my nose with a napkin from the glove compartment. They just sat there and told me they changed their minds, like I'm returning a sweater. Those absolute pieces of, where are you right now? Still at the restaurant. In my car. Stay there. I'm coming to get you. Ivy, you don't need to. Like hell I don't. Don't move. She hung up. 20 minutes later, her red Honda pulled up next to me. She got out and marched over to my car, yanking open the passenger door. Move over. I'm driving. I can drive myself home. You're 6 months pregnant and having a breakdown. Move. I didn't argue. Ivy had that tone that meant business. She drove us to her apartment, helped me up the stairs, and immediately started making tea. Tell me everything, she said, slamming mugs onto the counter. Every single word. I recounted the lunch from hell while she paced around her kitchen like a caged animal. I never liked her, Ivy said when I finished. I know she's your sister, but I never liked her. Remember when we were in college and she borrowed your car for the weekend without asking? That was different. She was young. She was 22. And what about when she promised to help plan your birthday party and then bailed because some guy asked her out? Ivy? Or when she convinced you to lend her $3,000 for that business opportunity that turned out to be a pyramid scheme? I stared at her. How do you remember all this stuff? Because I pay attention when my best friend gets screwed over. She sat down across from me. Bridget has been using you your entire life, and you keep letting her because you think that's what big sisters do. She's family. So what? Family doesn't give you a free pass to be a terrible person. Ivy leaned forward. What are you going to do? I don't know. Keep the baby, I guess. Figure out how to be a single mom. Wrong answer. What do you mean, wrong answer? I mean, you're not just rolling over and taking this. They can't do this to you. They already did. No, they can't legally do this to you. You signed a contract, right? They have obligations. I pulled the folder out of my purse. I was just looking at this. It's all legal jargon. I don't understand half of it. Ivy grabbed the papers and started flipping through them. Look at this. The intended parents agree to provide full financial support for the child, including but not limited to medical expenses, education, and living costs until the age of 18. And here, the intended parents acknowledge full legal and financial responsibility for the child, regardless of changed circumstances. What does that mean? It means they can't just walk away. They signed this thing, Tori. They're on the hook whether they want to be or not. But they said a lot of things. Doesn't make them true. Ivy pulled out her phone. I'm Googling family lawyers right now. Ivy, you can't afford not to. This is war, Tori. They declared it when they ambushed you at lunch. While she searched, I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Mom, 2 texts from Bridget. The text made my blood boil. Hope you're not being dramatic about this. We can talk when you calm down. Also, please don't involve Mom. This is between us. Too late for that, I muttered, showing Ivy the messages. Oh, she's got some nerve. Ivy looked up from her phone. Found one. Lana Kelly. She specializes in reproductive law and family disputes. 5-star reviews, and look at this testimonial. She destroyed my ex-husband in court. Highly recommend. I don't want to destroy anyone. I just want... What? What do you want, Tori? I looked down at my belly, feeling the baby kick. I want them to take responsibility for what they created. I want them to face consequences for once in their lives. Then call this lawyer. My phone rang. Mom. Hi, Mom. Tori, honey. Bridget just called me. She's very upset. She says you had some kind of argument? She told you her version already? She said there was a misunderstanding about the baby arrangements. A misunderstanding. I laughed bitterly. Is that what she called it? Maybe you could all sit down and talk this through calmly. No, Mom. No more talking. No more sitting down. No more being calm while Bridget does whatever she wants and expects everyone else to clean up the mess. Tori, please. She's your sister. She stopped being my sister the moment she told me to figure it out about the baby I'm carrying for her. There was silence on the other end. Mom? I'm sure she didn't mean it that way. She meant it exactly that way. I looked at Ivy, who was nodding encouragingly. I have to go. I have a lawyer to call. I hung up and dialed Lana Kelly's office. Kelly Law Firm, this is Sarah. Hi, I need to speak with Lana about a surrogacy dispute. It's urgent. She has an opening tomorrow at 10. Can I get your name? Tori. And tell her it involves a couple trying to abandon their parental responsibilities. Oh. The receptionist's voice sharpened with interest. She'll definitely want to hear about that. Lana Kelly's office was nothing like I expected. Instead of stuffy leather and dark wood, it was bright and modern with plants everywhere. Lana herself was younger than I'd imagined, maybe mid-30s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense handshake. Tell me everything, she said, settling behind her desk with a legal pad. I walked her through the whole story. She took notes, occasionally asking questions that made me realize how calculated Bridget and Caden's behavior had been. When did they first mention changing their minds? Lana asked. At lunch yesterday. But looking back, Bridget's been making comments for weeks about wanting to travel, about feeling tied down. And they suggested you figure something out regarding the baby? Those were Bridget's exact words. Lana leaned back in her chair. I've seen this before. Intended parents who treat surrogacy like a shopping trip until they realize babies aren't returnable merchandise. So what can I do? Plenty. She flipped through my contract. This is ironclad. They're legally bound to accept parental responsibility and provide full financial support. We can file a petition for declaratory judgment, establishing their parental obligations. What does that mean in regular English? It means we drag them to court and make a judge tell them they can't abandon their child. My phone buzzed. A text from Caden. Can we talk? This has gotten out of hand. I showed Lana the message. She smiled. Not a nice smile. Too late for that, she said. I'll file the paperwork today. Fair warning. This is going to get messy. They'll probably hire their own lawyer. Try to claim the contract is invalid somehow. Can they do that? They can try, but this contract was drafted by a reputable firm. You all had independent legal counsel, and there's clear documentation of their intent. They don't have a leg to stand on. I left Lana's office feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Hope and anger. Lots of anger. That feeling lasted exactly until I got home and found Caden's father, Maxwell, sitting on my front porch. Tori. He stood up, all 6 feet of intimidating presence. We need to talk. I don't think we do. My son tells me you're threatening legal action over the surrogacy situation. Your son and his wife abandoned their parental responsibilities. I'm not threatening anything. I'm taking action. Maxwell stepped closer. Now listen here, young lady. This family has a reputation to maintain. We're not going to let some vindictive lawsuit drag our name through the mud. Vindictive? I fumbled for my keys. I'm 6 months pregnant with your grandchild, and your son told me to figure it out when I asked what happens to the baby. Caden's young. He made a mistake, but this legal nonsense isn't the answer. What is the answer, Maxwell? Because I'm all ears. We'll pay for the medical expenses, of course, and if you decide to keep the child, we'll discuss some kind of support arrangement. Some kind of support arrangement. I finally got my door open. How generous. Don't be sarcastic with me. I'm trying to be reasonable. Reasonable would have been your son not abandoning his responsibilities in the first place. Maxwell's face darkened. You're making a big mistake, Tori. My family has resources, connections. You really want to go to war with us? Are you threatening me? I'm advising you. Drop this lawsuit and we can work something out privately. Push this, and you'll find out what it's like to fight people who can afford better lawyers than you can. I stepped inside and turned to face him. You know what, Maxwell? Bring it on, because I've got something your money can't buy. What's that? The truth, and a really pissed off lawyer who specializes in cases like this. I slammed the door and immediately called Lana. Maxwell was just here, I said when she answered. Caden's father. He basically threatened me. What kind of threats? The vague, intimidating kind. Said his family has resources and connections. Asked if I really wanted to go to war with them. Idiots. They just handed us more ammunition. I'm adding harassment to our filing. Can they really make this harder for me? They can try to throw money at the problem, but money doesn't change facts, and the facts are on our side. That evening, Ivy came over with takeout and wine. Sparkling cider for me. So how'd it go with the lawyer? Good. She's filing papers tomorrow. I picked at my lo mein, but Caden's dad showed up here afterward, tried to intimidate me. Seriously? What did you tell him? To bring it on. Ivy grinned. That's my girl. What about Bridget? Heard from her? I checked my phone. She's been posting on Instagram all day. Look at this. I showed Ivy the screen. Bridget had posted a photo of herself and Caden at some upscale bar, both of them laughing and holding cocktails. The caption read, Sometimes you have to prioritize your own happiness. Living my best life without no regrets. Are you kidding me? Ivy grabbed the phone. She posted this today, the day after she abandoned her baby. Gets better. Look at the comments. People were congratulating them on choosing themselves and being brave enough to change course. A few mutual friends had liked the post. This is unreal, Ivy said. She's acting like she just decided not to buy a timeshare, not abandon her child. My phone rang. Lana. I have news, she said. I just got off the phone with opposing counsel. Caden and Bridget hired Maxwell's old firm, the most expensive family lawyers in the city. Is that bad? For them? Yes, because expensive doesn't mean good, and they just proved they have plenty of money for child support. How do you feel about this going public? What do you mean? Court filings are public record. Once I submit this tomorrow, anyone can access it, including reporters. I looked at Ivy, who was nodding vigorously. Do it, I said. Let everyone see what kind of people they really are. The news broke 3 days after Lana filed the lawsuit. I was eating breakfast when Ivy called, practically screaming into the phone. Turn on Channel 7, now! I grabbed the remote. The morning news was running a story titled, Local Couple Abandons Surrogate Sister. My stomach dropped as they showed photos of Bridget and Caden from their social media accounts. The intended parents reportedly told their surrogate, the woman's own sister, to figure it out regarding the unborn child, the anchor said. Court documents reveal a pattern of abandonment and financial irresponsibility. My phone started ringing immediately. Unknown numbers. Reporters, probably. I let them go to voicemail. Then Mom called. Tori, what have you done? Her voice was shaking. It's on the news. Everyone's calling me. I filed a lawsuit, Mom, like I told you I would. But the reporters, they're saying terrible things about Bridget. They're saying true things about Bridget. She's getting death threats online. People are calling her a monster. I walked to my laptop and pulled up Twitter. Surrogate betrayal was trending. The comments were brutal. What kind of person abandons their own sister like this? These people are sociopaths. That poor woman carrying their baby while they party. I hope they get everything they deserve in court. But there were also supporters of Bridget and Caden. People are allowed to change their minds about having kids. The surrogate knew the risks when she signed up. This is just family drama blown out of proportion. Mom, I didn't ask for this to go public, I said. But I'm not sorry it did. Your sister is devastated. She can barely leave the house. Good. Maybe now she understands how I felt when she abandoned me. Tori, please. Can't you work this out privately? As a family? We stopped being family the moment she told me to figure out what to do with her baby. Mom was quiet for a long moment. There's something I need to tell you. About Bridget. What now? She called me last night crying. She said she's always felt like she lived in your shadow, that everyone expects her to be responsible like you, but she's not built that way. So this is my fault somehow? No, that's not what I'm saying. But maybe she's been struggling with feeling inadequate for a long time. I sat down hard on my couch. Are you seriously making excuses for her right now? I'm trying to help you understand. Understand what? That she resented me so much she decided to punish me by abandoning her own child? She didn't say that. She didn't have to. The pieces were clicking together. How long has she felt this way, Mom? Another pause. Since you were kids, probably. You were always the one who got good grades, who followed rules, who helped around the house. Bridget felt like she could never measure up. So instead of trying harder, she just gave up and decided to hate me for it? I don't think she hates you. She does, Mom. And you know what? The feeling's mutual now. I hung up and immediately called Lana. I need to know something, I said when she answered. Can we prove they planned this? That they never intended to keep the baby? What makes you think that? My mom just told me Bridget's resented me for years. This feels like revenge, not a change of heart. Interesting theory. Let me dig into their communications, phone records, emails, text messages. If they discussed abandoning the baby before they told you, we can prove premeditation. How do we get access to that? Discovery process. We can subpoena their records. That afternoon, Ethan showed up at my door with groceries and a concerned expression. We'd been friends since college, and he'd been checking on me more often since the pregnancy started. Saw the news, he said, unpacking food in my kitchen. How are you holding up? I'm fine. Angry, but fine. Good. You should be angry. He handed me a container of soup. What they did is unforgivable. Everyone keeps telling me I should try to work it out with them. That family is family. Family doesn't treat each other like garbage. Ethan leaned against the counter. You know what I think? What? I think you're going to be an amazing mom, with or without them. Something in his voice made me look at him more carefully. Ethan, I know this isn't the time or place, but I need you to know, you're not alone in this. Whatever happens, you've got people who care about you. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Caden. We need to talk. Meet me at Starbucks on 5th Street in an hour. Come alone. I showed Ethan the message. Don't go, he said immediately. It's probably a trap. What kind of trap? The kind where he tries to manipulate you into dropping the lawsuit, or records you saying something he can use against you in court. I stared at the message. What if he wants to apologize? To work something out? Then he can do it through lawyers. Don't go, Tori. But even as I nodded agreement, I was already planning to be at that Starbucks in an hour, because I needed to look Caden in the eye and hear him try to justify what he'd done. I needed to see if there was any part of the man I'd once considered a brother-in-law left, or if he was as much of a stranger as Bridget had become. I got to Starbucks 15 minutes early and chose a table in the back corner where I could see the entrance. Caden walked in exactly on time, looking like he hadn't slept in days. His usual perfect hair was messy, and his clothes were wrinkled. He spotted me and walked over, not bothering to order anything. Thanks for coming, he said, sliding into the chair across from me. Talk. Look, I know how this looks. It looks like you and my sister decided to abandon your baby and leave me to deal with the consequences. It's not that simple. Then explain it to me. Caden rubbed his face. Bridget's been having panic attacks. Ever since the pregnancy started, she's been spiraling. She's convinced she'll be a terrible mother. So get therapy. Don't abandon your child. We tried therapy. She won't go. She just keeps saying she made a mistake, that she's not ready, that she never will be. And you? What's your excuse? I'm trying to support my wife. By supporting her decision to abandon your baby, by not forcing her into something she's not capable of handling. I leaned forward. Caden, I'm 7 months pregnant. 7 months. This isn't a theoretical baby anymore. This is a real child who's going to need parents in 2 months. I know that. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're both just hoping this problem will magically disappear. That's not... He stopped, looking around the coffee shop. Can we please keep our voices down? Why? Embarrassed to be seen with the sister you screwed over? I'm embarrassed about the whole situation, okay? You think I wanted this to happen? You think I wanted to be on the news as the guy who abandoned his surrogate? Then why did you do it? Because Bridget said she'd leave me if I forced her to keep the baby. There it was. The truth. Finally. So you chose her over your child. I chose my marriage. Same thing. I stood up. We're done here. Wait. He grabbed my arm. There's something else you need to know. I sat back down. What? My dad's planning something. He's been making calls, trying to find dirt on you. He hired a private investigator. To do what? Prove you're unfit to raise the baby. He thinks if he can show you're unstable or vindictive, the court will side with us. I'm unstable? I'm not the one who abandoned my parental responsibilities. I know, but he's desperate. The publicity is killing him. His golf buddies are giving him hell, and he's taking it out on everyone. Why are you telling me this? Caden looked down at his hands. Because you don't deserve this. None of it. You were trying to help us, and we threw it back in your face. Are you apologizing? I'm trying to. Try harder. I'm sorry, Tori. I'm sorry we put you in this position. I'm sorry we handled it so badly. I'm sorry my father's making it worse. But you're not sorry enough to actually step up and be a parent. I can't force Bridget. You're not forcing her. You're holding her accountable. There's a difference. My phone buzzed. A text from Lana. Emergency. Call me now. I have to go, I said, standing up again. Tori, wait. What if we could work something out? Privately? Like what? We'll pay child support. Full support. Whatever the court would order. But we sign away our parental rights. You get full custody, we stay out of your life. I stared at him. You want to pay me to disappear with your baby. I want to find a solution that works for everyone. There is no solution that works for everyone, Caden. That's the point. You created a human being. You don't get to just opt out because it's inconvenient. I walked away, leaving him sitting alone at the table. In the parking lot, I called Lana back. What's the emergency? I got the phone records, she said. Tori, you need to sit down. I'm in my car. What did you find? Text messages between Bridget and Caden going back 3 months. They've been planning this since your second trimester. My hands started shaking. Planning what exactly? To abandon the baby. There are dozens of messages. Bridget calling the pregnancy a mistake and saying she never should have agreed to this. Caden agreeing and saying they need to find a way out. They've been lying to me for 3 months. It gets worse. There are messages about hoping you'd just handle it if they backed out. They discussed whether you'd keep the baby or put it up for adoption. They were betting on you keeping it. They planned this. They actually planned to dump their baby on me. And we can prove it. Every message is time-stamped. The court is going to see exactly how calculated this was. I sat in my car, staring at the Starbucks where Caden was probably still sitting, probably texting Bridget about our conversation. Lana, I want to destroy them. Good, because with this evidence, we can. When's the hearing? 2 weeks. And Tori? After the judge sees these messages, they're going to wish they'd never heard the word surrogate. The courthouse was packed. I hadn't expected the media attention, but apparently Sister Sue's sister over abandoned baby was the kind of story that drew crowds. Reporters lined the hallway, and I had to push through them to get to the courtroom. Lana met me at the entrance, looking sharp in her navy suit. "Ready for this?" she asked. "As ready as I'll ever be." Inside, I saw Bridget and Caden sitting at the defendant's table with their lawyer, a stern-looking man in an expensive suit who kept whispering urgently to them. Maxwell sat in the front row behind them, glaring at me like I'd personally ruined his life. Mom was there too, sitting alone in the middle section looking miserable. "All rise," the bailiff called, the Honorable Judge Patricia Martinez presiding. Judge Martinez was a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and no patience for nonsense. She settled behind the bench and looked over her reading glasses at both legal teams. "This is a petition for declaratory judgment regarding parental obligations in a surrogacy arrangement," she said. "Counselor Kelly, you may proceed." Lana stood up. "Your Honor, this case is about accountability. The defendants entered into a legally binding surrogacy contract with the plaintiff, who was the defendant's sister. After 6 months of pregnancy, they informed her they were abandoning their parental responsibilities and expected her to figure it out." She walked to the evidence table. "We have text messages proving this abandonment was premeditated, planned over months, while they continued to deceive the plaintiff." The defense attorney, his name was Richard something, stood up. "Objection, Your Honor. Inflammatory language. Overruled. Continue, Miss Kelly." Lana pulled out a thick folder. "These are text messages between the defendants from 3 months ago. I'll read just a few examples." She cleared her throat. "From Bridget to Caden, dated 4 months ago. I can't do this. Having a baby was the worst idea we ever had. We need to find a way out." Bridget shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Caden's response? "Maybe Tori will just keep it if we back out. She's always wanted kids." And here's another one from Bridget. "We can't force her to get rid of it, but we don't have to take it either. She volunteered for this." Judge Martinez looked up sharply. "These messages were sent while the plaintiff was carrying their child?" "Yes, Your Honor. For months, they planned to abandon their baby while continuing to attend doctor's appointments and pretending to be excited about parenthood." "Your Honor," Richard interrupted, "my clients were experiencing normal anxiety about becoming parents." "Normal anxiety doesn't include planning to abandon your child," Judge Martinez said coldly. "Continue, Miss Kelly." Lana called me to the witness stand. My hands were shaking as I was sworn in. "Tori, please tell the court why you agreed to be a surrogate for your sister." "Because she asked me to. Because she said she couldn't have children and it was breaking her heart. Because I thought I was helping create a family." "And how did you feel when they told you they were abandoning the baby?" "Devastated. Betrayed. Like I'd been used." My voice cracked. "I put my life on hold for 9 months. I gave up dating, traveling, my body, my health, all because I thought I was doing something beautiful for my sister." "What did Bridget say when you asked what would happen to the baby?" "She said I'd figure something out, that I always land on my feet." "And Caden?" "He said it was my choice to make, like the baby was suddenly my responsibility because they didn't want it anymore." Richard cross-examined me, trying to make it seem like I was vindictive, that I'd known the risks, but every question just made their abandonment look worse. Then Lana called Bridget to the stand. Bridget looked terrible, pale, thin, like she hadn't slept in weeks. She kept glancing at the packed courtroom. "Bridget, did you ask your sister to be your surrogate?" "Yes." "Did you tell her you desperately wanted a baby?" "Yes." "Did you attend doctor's appointments and pretend to be excited about the pregnancy?" "I was excited, at first." "But you were planning to abandon the baby for months, weren't you?" "I was having doubts." "These aren't doubts." Lana held up the phone records. "These are detailed plans to abandon your child and leave your sister to deal with the consequences." Bridget started crying. "I was scared. I didn't know if I could be a good mother. So instead of getting help, You decided to abandon your responsibilities? I didn't abandon anything. The baby isn't born yet. The baby you're legally and financially responsible for regardless of when it's born. Richard objected, but Judge Martinez overruled him again. Bridget, Lana continued, do you love your sister? Of course I do. Is this how you show love? By using her body to create a child you plan to abandon? I never meant for it to happen this way, but it did happen this way, because you chose to make it happen this way. Bridget broke down completely, sobbing into her hands. Caden reached for her, but she pulled away. Judge Martinez called a recess. In the hallway, I saw Bridget and Caden arguing in hushed, angry whispers. Maxwell was red-faced, gesturing wildly at their lawyer. How do you think it's going? I asked Lana. Look at them, she said, nodding toward the defendants. They're falling apart. We've got this. When court resumed, Judge Martinez didn't waste time. I've reviewed the evidence and heard the testimony. This is one of the most callous cases of parental abandonment I've seen in 20 years on the bench. Bridget and Caden sat frozen. The defendants are hereby ordered to accept full legal and financial responsibility for the child. They will pay child support, medical expenses, and educational costs until the child reaches 18. They will also pay the plaintiff's legal fees and medical expenses related to the pregnancy. Maxwell shot to his feet. Your Honor, this is outrageous. Sit down, sir, or I'll hold you in contempt. Judge Martinez looked directly at Bridget and Caden. You created a life. You don't get to walk away from that because it's inconvenient. Court dismissed. The gavel came down with a sharp crack that echoed through the silent courtroom. The chaos outside the courthouse was immediate. Reporters swarmed us as we walked down the steps, shouting questions and shoving microphones in our faces. How do you feel about the judge's ruling? Will you reconcile with your sister? What's next for your family? Lana pushed through them, creating a path for me. No comment. The ruling speaks for itself. Behind us, I could hear Maxwell shouting at reporters. This is a travesty of justice. My family will appeal. I turned around to see Bridget standing frozen on the courthouse steps, tears streaming down her face as cameras flashed around her. For a split second, I almost felt sorry for her. Then I remembered the text messages. Tori, Mom appeared at my elbow looking frantic. Can we please talk? Privately? Not now, Mom. Please. Just 5 minutes. Lana squeezed my arm. I'll handle the reporters. Take your time. Mom pulled me aside to a quiet corner of the courthouse lobby. I know you're angry. I'm not angry anymore, Mom. I'm done. She's still your sister. No, she's not. Sisters don't do what she did to me. But the baby, your baby, will be her child too legally. You'll have to deal with each other for the next 18 years. Actually, I won't. I pulled out my phone and showed her a text from Lana that had come in during the hearing. Bridget and Caden's lawyer already reached out about signing away their parental rights. They want to pay support but have no custody, no visitation, no involvement. Mom's face went white. They're giving up the baby completely? They never wanted the baby, Mom. The court just forced them to pay for it. But what about you? Raising a child alone? I won't be alone. I gestured toward the lobby where Ivy and Ethan were waiting. I have people who actually care about me. Tori, please. Don't let this destroy our family. Bridget destroyed our family the day she decided to use me as a human incubator and then throw me away. I'm just dealing with the consequences. Mom started crying. I failed you both. I should have seen this coming, should have stopped it. You did see it coming. You just chose to ignore it because dealing with Bridget's problems was too hard. That's not fair. Fair? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Mom, nothing about this has been fair, but it's finally over. I walked away, leaving her standing alone in the courthouse lobby. Outside, Ivy and Ethan were waiting by my car. So, Ivy asked, how does it feel to win? Weird. Good, but weird. What happens now? Ethan asked. Now I go home and figure out how to be a single mom. Not single, Ivy said firmly. You've got us. Ethan nodded. Whatever you need. Babysitting, midnight diaper runs, someone to hold the baby while you shower. We're here. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Bridget. I'm sorry. For everything. I know you'll never forgive me, but I need you to know I'm sorry. I showed them the message. Are you going to respond? Ethan asked. No. Sorry doesn't fix what she did. What if she means it? Ivy asked. Then she can prove it by staying out of my life and paying her child support on time. I deleted the message without responding. The drive home was quiet. When we pulled into my driveway, I saw a package on my front porch, a gift basket from my coworkers with baby clothes, and a card that read, Congratulations on your victory. Look at that, Ivy said, reading the card. You're famous. Infamous, more like. Are you kidding? You're a hero. Do you know how many women have reached out to me asking how to contact you? Women who've been screwed over by family members, by ex-husbands, by people who thought they could just walk away from their responsibilities? I'm not a hero. I just got tired of being a doormat. Same thing, Ethan said. Inside, I made tea while Ivy and Ethan assembled the crib that had been sitting in boxes for weeks. Watching them work together, arguing over the instructions, and laughing at their mistakes, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. You know what the best part is? I said, settling into my chair with my tea. What? They asked in unison. Bridget and Caden are going to spend the next 18 years paying for a child they'll never know. Every month, when that support check comes out of their account, they'll remember what they did. They'll remember that actions have consequences. Karma's a beautiful thing, Ivy said, tightening a screw on the crib rail. It really is. My phone rang. Lana, the paperwork's ready, she said. They're signing away their parental rights tomorrow. After that, they'll have no legal claim to the baby, just the financial obligation. Perfect. There's one more thing. Maxwell called. He wants to know if you'd consider letting them see the baby occasionally. As grandparents. What did you tell him? I told him to ask you directly if he wants an answer. The answer's no. They made their choice. I figured. I'll let him know. After I hung up, Ethan looked at me seriously. Any regrets? About the lawsuit? None. About doing the surrogacy in the first place? I put my hand on my belly, feeling the baby kick. Ask me in 2 months when I'm changing diapers at 3 a.m. You're going to be an amazing mom, Ivy said. I hope so, because this kid deserves better than the parents who created them. They're getting better, Ethan said quietly. They're getting you. Some people think they can walk away from family, from responsibility, from the consequences of their choices. But karma has a way of finding you, and some mistakes, like abandoning your own child, you never get to leave behind. Bridget and Caden learned that the hard way, and for the next 18 years, every support payment will remind them exactly what kind of people they chose to be. As for me, I'm done being the family fixer, the responsible one, the sister who cleans up everyone else's messes. Now I'm just going to be a mom, and that's enough.
My name is Alice, and I'm a 33-year-old sales executive at an e-commerce company in Winona. I have a happy family with my husband Scott, our son Oliver, and my mother-in-law Ruth. I had a happy childhood in Philadelphia, but I got married young at 18 while still in college studying business management. My parents, who love me very much, were worried about me getting married so early, but I was too in love to think about the consequences. My boyfriend seemed perfect, and we rented a place to live. We worked multiple odd jobs to make ends meet since our families cut us off. We had our first child when I was 19. At first, everything was going well, and we managed our parenting duties just fine. But after Oliver was born, things changed. My husband's father died in a car accident, and his mother had a mental breakdown from the shock, later being diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Not being allowed to see his parents deeply affected my husband. I supported him, but he eventually quit his job and started gambling and became abusive. I left him when he hit our 5-year-old son. I started over, got my current job, and decided to take a break from relationships to focus on myself and my son. After a year, my best friend invited me to dinner with her and her fiancé. At the restaurant, a handsome man with warm hazel eyes asked if he could sit next to me. It was Scott. We met again at my friend's wedding but barely spoke. At the end of the evening, Scott told me I looked stunning in my gown. We went for a walk, talked about our careers, hobbies, and families, and eventually started dating and got married. Scott has been a loving father to Oliver, who considers him his real dad. Every year on Oliver's birthday, we visit a new city. Even my mother-in-law, Ruth, loved Oliver, but things changed when I got pregnant. One day at Walmart, I'd overheard Ruth telling the cashier to check the fruits carefully because her pregnant daughter-in-law, me, shouldn't get sick. When the cashier congratulated her on her first grandchild, Ruth replied, "It will be my first real grandchild. I have a step-grandson who's 10 because my son married my daughter-in-law when he was 5, but I tried to treat him the same." I realized then that Ruth never truly loved my child with all her heart. Ruth also has a granddaughter from her daughter, whom she adores and spoils with gifts. She spends a lot of time with her granddaughter, and anyone who sees them would think Ruth is the best grandmother ever, but only for her daughter's child. One morning, I woke up to the sound of Scott arguing with his mother. Ruth was furious that Scott didn't want to have another biological child. Scott and I had discussed this the night before, and I advised him not to go through with it. Ruth was angry and threatened to end her life if we didn't have another child. Scott assured her we wouldn't make that decision, but she thought I had influenced him. I didn't want a strained relationship with Ruth. She had been kind before, and I didn't know what had caused the change, but I hoped we could win her over with love. I didn't realize that was a big mistake. We were at a farmhouse for Ruth's birthday, and she had already eaten 2 apples but wanted more. Scott refused, and Oliver playfully whispered in her ear, "Don't worry, Grandma." Oliver whispered to his grandma, "I'll sneak an apple for you upstairs." Scott noticed and asked, "What's going on over there?" But my mother-in-law wasn't amused. She said in a stern voice, "Oliver, it's not good to sneak food because of choking. You should never take food without asking an adult." I stepped in and said, "You're right, but he knows it's not okay. He was just joking with you." We laughed, and I added, "Yes, I'm her apple dealer," but she replied sharply, "That's even worse. He shouldn't learn to play favorites." I was heartbroken when I saw Oliver's sad face. He was just trying to bond with his grandmother, who once loved him so much. Scott couldn't take it and said, "Mom, you know how much he loves you, right? He would never do anything to hurt you." She responded, "Yeah, I'm sure you love him very much." One day, I was cuddling with Oliver when she saw us and exclaimed, "Alice, what are you doing? You're pregnant, and you're crushing your belly. It's not good for the baby. Don't do that before your delivery." I wondered if that was really true but decided to stay quiet to avoid any drama. Things got worse on Oliver's 12th birthday. Scott wanted to throw a big party, and we invited many relatives, colleagues, family friends, and all of Oliver's friends. As we were about to cut the cake, my sister-in-law's daughter came crying to my mother-in-law, who was standing next to me. She claimed that Oliver had hit her and pushed her to the ground. My mother-in-law's anger flared up. I could see she was losing control. Before I could calm her down, she went up to Oliver and slapped him without asking what happened. "You've got a lot of nerve, causing trouble on your birthday. Get out of the house," she yelled. Oliver flinched from the slap and ran out of the house crying. I followed him. After some time, I came back and shouted at her, "What are you doing? It's his birthday. At least hear what he has to say." She snapped back, "Stop siding with your son. I've tolerated him enough. He's forgotten where he comes from." Scott, trying to defend Oliver, said, "Mom, do you even know what the fight was about? They argued about you." She told Oliver he's not her real grandson and mocked him until he pushed her. My mother-in-law glared at me. I said, "I don't condone his behavior, but I wonder where she learned this from." My mother-in-law was speechless for a moment, and that's when we finally discovered why she treated her grandchildren differently. She said, "It's normal for me not to feel the same affection for him because he wasn't born from my son. The children of my biological children will always be dearer to me than your son. I'm going to love your baby more. That's just how most grandmothers feel, even if they don't say it. I couldn't believe my ears. It felt like a shocking revelation, leaving us all stunned. I couldn't understand where she got this old-fashioned idea. Who influenced her to think this way? Her reasoning left us speechless. Oliver later told me that his grandma used to tell his sister that his brother or sister would be mommy and daddy's real child. I asked him what else grandma had said, and he told me she kept reminding him that his sister wasn't really his sister. I noticed my mother-in-law looked away with a hint of guilt. Now Oliver believes he's extra special to us because we don't want him to feel less important, even though his younger sibling is going to be grandma's favorite grandchild. I confronted her. "What have you been telling him?" She replied, "I didn't lie. It's the truth, and he needs to realize it." Unfortunately, Scott was away on a business trip when all this happened. The next day, I told him everything. He said, "I'm not surprised at all. She's always been cold towards him, sometimes acting like he doesn't exist. I remember she wouldn't even wish him a simple happy birthday, let alone give him gifts. She never shows any interest in his life, never asks how he's doing in school or about his friends." Scott then tried talking to her. "Mom, what you've done is too much. I've accepted Oliver and am raising him as my own, so what difference does it make?" She replied, "It makes a lot of difference, Scott, and it matters to me. Don't you dare judge me. You can't force me to love your son. That's never going to happen. I don't feel like he's my grandchild, and you'll have to get over it." But Scott was firm. "No, Mom, it's you will have to get over not seeing us anymore. We don't need this kind of negativity in our lives, and we definitely don't want our child to experience it. I want you to leave my house right now." Shock and betrayal crossed her face as she stared at her son. Even though I didn't want Scott to live apart from his mother or push her away, I thought it was for the best. We didn't need her in our lives. Being a grandmother to a child who loved her so much was a privilege, and she threw it away by her own choice. Too bad for her. As much as it upset us, we had to make this decision, but she didn't give up. "That's not fair. You can't leave your elderly mother on the streets. I can sue you." Scott replied, "Do whatever you want. You won't see your grandkids anymore. You'll be a bad influence on them." After she said that, I quietly hoped that when she gets older, she wouldn't come crawling back to us for help because our doors would be closed. If that's how you truly feel about me and my son, then you shouldn't be part of my children's lives. I'll make sure you can't poison their minds anymore. Scott packed her things and she went to stay in Florida. Meanwhile, she kept threatening us over the phone, claiming her rights over the house and her grandchildren. She even bad-mouthed me to relatives, blaming me for separating her from her son. Blinded by rage, Scott and I blocked her on everything after sending a text detailing her actions, which we heard from Oliver and his sister. We made it clear that her behavior was unacceptable and that she wouldn't see her grandkids until they were much older and could understand the world better, so they wouldn't be swayed by her words. We didn't hear from her for a long time after that. One day we got an anonymous call saying my mother-in-law was admitted to the hospital after breaking her pelvis in the bathroom. There was a chance she might never walk again. Scott panicked when he heard this and rushed to be by her side. No matter how good a father Scott was, he was also her son. Though he was angry at his mother for what she did, he couldn't hide the fact that he loved her. "Honey, I think stopping her from seeing the kids is inhumane now. She's old and weak and would want to be with her family in these difficult times. She's just a bit traditional," Scott said, getting emotional. "I met her in the hospital, and she told me that being alone in a hospital bed made her realize how unpredictable life is. She admitted she didn't expect karma to hit her this way." Scott then held my hand and said, "I think we should bring her back home. I don't have the heart to leave her alone at this time, and I can't keep going back and forth to Florida. I hope you understand." I replied, "Of course, honey. It pains me to see her like this. No matter what, she is your mother, and you should be there for her right now. It might be difficult with Oliver, but I'll make sure they get along. I believe she's realized she was wrong." A few days later, she was discharged from the hospital, and we brought her home. Things seemed to be going smoothly, and I thought we were finally back together as a happy family. One day, Oliver was playing around the house when he accidentally slipped and hurt his elbow. A few days later, we were unexpectedly visited by officials from the Social Services Department. They said they had received a complaint that my husband and I were neglecting Oliver because we were excitedly awaiting the arrival of our new baby. They even claimed that the injury on Oliver's elbow was a sign of physical abuse. The officials tried to take Oliver away from us. I was terrified and did everything I could to convince them that the complaint was false, but they wouldn't listen. They took my baby away. I was inconsolable. Scott said, "I wonder who might have given them this false information." My mother-in-law suggested we visit the office and personally convince them to let us keep Oliver. After a lot of effort, we finally got him back and proved that the complaint was malicious. But as we prepared to leave, Oliver softly mumbled to me, "Don't leave me with Dad, Mama, I'm scared of him." This shocked me since Oliver had never said anything like that before. Scott was also surprised and tried to hug Oliver, but he pulled away. One day, when I found Oliver alone, I asked him about it. "Oliver loves his mama, doesn't he?" I asked. "Yes, Mama," he replied. "And he never lies to me, so will he answer honestly?" He nodded. "Why are you scared of Daddy, honey? Did he say something?" "No. But Grandma said that once the baby is here, Daddy will throw me out of the house." I was devastated. We had given her another chance to be part of a happy family, and she had ruined it. I realized she could never truly accept us. I also had a strong suspicion about who might have contacted social services with the false complaint, but I decided to talk to Scott first instead of confronting her. However, fate intervened. Ever since her accident, my mother-in-law had been using a wheelchair. That evening, she was preparing coffee when she accidentally spilled hot water on her leg. She screamed, "Help me, Mother of God," and to my surprise, sprang from her wheelchair and rushed to the kitchen to get some ice. Coincidentally, Scott had just returned from work. We both witnessed her walking, revealing that she had been faking her injury to get back into our home. "Mom, you can walk?" Scott asked, shocked. She froze and slowly turned around. Oh, the impact of the hot water must have helped me walk again. What a miracle. But Scott wasn't convinced. "This is sick, Mom. How could you stoop so low? I idolized you as a child, and this is how you repay me? Just because you despise a little child so much." I had never seen Scott so angry and hurt. "I trusted you and wanted to take care of you after what happened, but this is how you pay me back. Get out of my house now. Please, hear me out," she pleaded. "I did this because I want you to realize we can be a happy family without that child. Your child needs a grandparent. Don't deprive her of that happiness. What will you say when she grows up and finds out she has a grandmother you chose to hide from her?" Scott replied, "I'll take care of that. I'm sure when our child is old enough to understand, they'll see that you being around could do no good." He went to pack her belongings and returned with her luggage. You can't be a good mother if you can convince yourself to do and say such horrible things to a young child, even going so far as to brainwash him. We never saw her again after that. A few months later, I gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. Scott loved both of his children equally and taught them to always stand by the truth. I often reflected on how I had seen mothers. My mother was a modern, progressive woman despite being from the countryside. She rarely talked about marriage and kids, always pushing me to fulfill my career goals. Unfortunately, I didn't value her ideas back then because I wanted to get married so badly. But life eventually shows you the truth. I learned from my mistakes and from the people I met. Scott and his mother were from the same family but different generations. While I couldn't entirely blame her for her outdated beliefs, I think that if she truly loved Scott, she would have found happiness in his happiness. Her comments and behavior towards my son were unreasonable and unfair. Luckily, Oliver didn't grow up to hate or disrespect her, but he always remembered her as his grandmother. I couldn't imagine what would have happened if she had stayed with us longer and continued her manipulative ways. Fortunately, fate intervened, and we were freed from her toxicity and drama once and for all. Hi, I'm Sharon and I'm 26 years old. When you reach this age, things start happening around you, just like they did for me. I was about to marry the most amazing man I had ever met. Craig was everything I ever wanted and more. We met on a boating trip. I was with some friends, and he was there for a business meeting in Maryland. I wouldn't call it love at first sight because it wasn't. In fact, during our relationship, We went through many phases before realizing we were meant for each other. My family adores Craig. My mom and dad treat him like their own son, and even the family dog gets more excited to see him than me. I met Craig's mom, Mayla, and his dad, Kevin, a few months after we decided to get married, and we all instantly got along. Mayla is the sweetest lady and reminds me of my mom, while Kevin is laid back and always making jokes. They're not always funny, but we laugh anyway. I was in love with Craig and his family, but this was before I met Natasha, Craig's older sister. One day during a family lunch, Mila mentioned Natasha. "So, your sister's coming to town next week. Are you two going to pick her up at the airport? I think this is a good time to introduce your fiancé to the other woman who helped raise you." Craig laughed while eating some toast. "Pulling my hair, eating half my food, and taking my toys, that's what I call raising me, Mom." The whole table laughed as we enjoyed our meal. After meeting Kevin, I started to see how Craig had picked up his dad's humor. Both of them could crack a good joke every now and then. I thought, well, now I have to wait a week until Craig says something really funny. Hey, it's all part of having a sibling, right? Speaking of which, Sharon, you have one. A sibling, I mean? Oh no, I'm an only child. I did have a few dogs and cats growing up, though. Does that count? Of course. My kids scratched and screamed at each other growing up, so I'd say our experiences were the same, Kevin joked, and we all giggled. I felt so at ease around Craig's family, it was almost too comfortable, but thanks to Natasha, things were about to change. Natasha had moved to New York after college. Craig told me his sister could be a bit overprotective, but he said I shouldn't worry. He expected us to get along just as well as I had with the rest of the family. Craig is half Hungarian on his mom's side, but while he hadn't picked up much of the culture Natasha had, the family would try not to speak Hungarian around me because they knew I wouldn't understand, but what they didn't know is that I'm a linguist. While that doesn't mean I can learn languages instantly, it does help. Craig had taught me a few phrases, and I took the initiative to learn more on my own. There are so many websites to help with that these days, so now I can use Hungarian conversationally, though I plan to wait until I was more confident. When are you two getting married? Natasha asked in Hungarian as soon as we were in the car. Seriously, you just met her 5 minutes ago, and she's sitting right next to me. You already forgot her name? Come on, just tell me already. I'm not going to ask her. I could only understand bits and pieces of the conversation. Natasha's accent was different from Mayla's, probably because she was raised here. Sharon, Natasha's asking about the wedding. She wants to know the date so she can make arrangements at work. Oh, of course. We don't have a fixed date yet, but it's going to be in March, so 3 months from now. I think that's plenty of time for you to get a few days off from work beforehand. Don't worry. Oh, all right. That's a relief. I thought it would be much sooner. Why did she seem so relieved when the wedding was months away? Let's keep talking in English, yeah, Nat. We're still working on Sharon's Hungarian, so it's going to take a while. This is already tough. She whispered something in Hungarian before saying that, and this time I understood. I was feeling a bit intimidated by her. It wasn't going as smoothly as it had with his parents, but I reminded myself that not everyone likes you right away. I was sure we would get along with some effort. A few days passed, and I wasn't always at Craig's place, so our interactions were minimal. Whenever I did go there, Natasha would find an excuse to go out, whether it was shopping or going to the movies with friends. I could see the annoyance on Kevin and Mila's faces. One time when I showed up, Kevin said, "You better not be leaving us today, Nat. You've watched enough films for the week. Spend some time with Sharon and your brother this afternoon." Natasha rolled her eyes and said, "Oh my God, not this again. I've met her and we've talked. Do I really have to keep doing it? I don't want to get to know her. I already know enough people. She looks like every other girl. I've met her already, so I don't see the big deal." Natasha, English please. This is the 6th time this week. Okay, I won't be gone long. I'll come back and spend plenty of time with both of you, I promise. Sharon, oh, that's okay. I hope you do come back though. I'd really love to know more about you and your work and everything. Me too. It's just that my friends keep making plans, and since I haven't been home in a while, they're being very stubborn. You must have friends, right? You understand. What if she doesn't? What if she wants you to stay but is too nice to say it? I thought we were speaking in English, ma. Seriously, what did I just say? It's okay, guys, don't stress about it because of me. I'm learning Hungarian anyway, so maybe you won't have to switch to English for me. How lovely. Anyway, I'll be right back for lunch, or else Mama Bear here will fry me like a fish for dinner. Bye now, see you all soon. And then she left to hang out with her friends again. I found it interesting that she stayed in touch with her friends even after moving so far away. I guess they must have grown up together. I didn't expect her to keep her promise and join us for lunch, but to my surprise, she showed up right on time. She looked annoyed to be there. Like she'd much rather be with those friends she kept talking about. I guess she finally gave in. We talked about how their home had changed over the years and how Kevin's jokes had gotten a bit lamer. It was all fun. Then I decided to ask Natasha what she did in New York. So Matt, what do you do in New York? I'm an interior designer. I've designed some of the best places out there. I keep asking these two oldies to let me redesign this old house, but they never listen. I was hoping you'd knock some sense into them. This is the house you grew up in. It's beautiful the way it is. Come on, Sharon, help me out here. I mean, those weird beige couches are killing me. I actually like it here. Those couches are comfortable too. Of course, she takes their side. She's just trying to be the good girl to get them to like her. Typical. You really have to stop talking about my fiancé like that. What's your problem, Matt? I have no problem. What are you talking about? Is everything okay? Did I say something wrong? Oh, of course you didn't, honey. We were just talking about how the house looks kind of ugly. It's just my opinion, though. Your fiancé isn't very keen on it. Hey Nat, that reminds me, you didn't tell me what Rye was up to. Why isn't he joining us? Dad, I told you he was busy. He really wanted to come and see Sharon and Craig, but he couldn't find the time. He'll be free soon, and I'll drag him here the next time I come back. I think he prefers it here anyway. Oh, I'd love to meet him. When did you guys get married? Oh, it feels like ages ago, sweetie, but it was just 2 years back. I was designing his new home, and our eyes just met. We got married 6 months later. Wow, that's beautiful. Please bring him around next time. Yes, of course. Natasha just smiled brightly, and everyone went back to eating. It was pretty awkward after that. The conversation switched to other things like the wedding, the venues, the number of guests, and all that, but Natasha didn't show any interest in any of it. She just ate quietly. I wondered if their family dinners were always like this, but who am I kidding? I knew it was me. My Hungarian had improved enough to know that Natasha didn't really like me much. She thought I was just trying to impress Kevin and Mila so they'd like me. And don't get me wrong, I did want them to be happy with me, but I wasn't going to go out of my way to make that happen. My opinions were and always will be my own, but it seemed like Natasha had made up her mind about me the moment she met us at the airport. The more time I spent around her, the more I started catching unpleasant phrases in Hungarian. She would talk to her friend on the phone and say things like, I don't know why my idiot brother is marrying this girl. What does he even see in her? She doesn't do or say anything interesting and she has no idea how to speak Hungarian. She'd have more frequent conversations on her phone when we were all together, like she always preferred talking to someone else. Sometimes her phone would ring late at night, and she'd be on the call for hours. I assumed it was her husband. She used her words like a sword so often that it pushed me to work even harder on my Hungarian. I felt like I needed to be less meek and stand up for myself a bit more. I wasn't going to just sit there and let Natasha insult me in her language whenever she felt like it, so I became determined. After spending a few days with us, Natasha went back to New York. During that time, I doubled my efforts to learn Hungarian. I was an assistant professor at the university, and even though my subject was linguistics, one of my colleagues, Jenna, was a master in many languages. Hungarian just happened to be one of them. I decided to meet her after hours and talk about my situation. So, as you know, my fiancé is half Hungarian, and like they say, Jenna, knowing someone's language is one step closer to knowing their heart. Not to be cheesy, but I've been trying hard to learn the language. I know a little now, but you're the master. Do you think you could help? Well, I suppose I could. Tell you what, buy me a sandwich for lunch, and I'll let you attend my elementary Hungarian classes for a while. It should be enough to help you catch on to the grammar. That sounds perfect. But you can't attend the whole semester since you're not a student. Attend a few initial classes with the new batch, and I'll help you in private later on. Also, I know you're doing this for your fiancé, sweetie, but are you sure about it? Hungarian is a difficult language to learn. Aren't all languages difficult? I think with enough determination, I can at least become a better conversationalist. A lot of effort also falls on you whenever I ask. Don't worry, I won't mind. Ask as often as you like. Thank you. Oh, I see someone's been working on it, huh? Impressive. Come on, let's go. I'm getting hungry. She laughed, and the two of us headed to the nearest cafeteria. Everything was going smoothly. I knew learning a foreign language was going to be tough, especially since I had to balance it with my work, family, and other commitments. But I was determined. I wanted to be part of this family, and learning a language was a big step toward that. Plus, getting back at Natasha a little bit would be worth it. The next week I started attending Jenna's lectures. She was so good with the language that I could have mistaken her for a native speaker. Her accent was spot on. Since I wasn't going to get more than a month of learning, I made sure to take notes whenever possible. She would always check in with me after each lecture, and I don't think I could have found a better teacher. Meanwhile, Natasha returned a month later. By then, my Hungarian had improved a lot, but I kept it a secret from Craig and the rest of the family. I wanted to surprise everyone by joining in on a conversation out of nowhere, but something happened that stopped me in my tracks. Hello, darling. Oh, how I've missed you. I know the last time wasn't long enough, but here we are again. What do you mean I'll disappear again? I'll come back to you in no time, I promise. Natasha was on the phone again. The family was outside for a barbecue dinner. The three of them were setting the table and firing up the grill, while I had gone inside to get some plates and other things. I'd already told you I'm here to attend my brother's stupid wedding. He's getting married to this boring-looking high school teacher or something. I don't even know why. But forget about them, this is all about us. Do you even know how much I love you? If it wasn't for constantly moving around, I'd never leave your side. Oh boy, it seemed like she really missed her husband Rye. I felt a little bad for eavesdropping, so I quickly grabbed the plates and slipped away. But I was glad that I was able to understand almost everything she was saying, even with her unique accent. We set up the table, and the food was quickly prepared. There's nothing like a hot, delicious dinner for everyone to enjoy. So, have you been busy with all day, Nat? Rye misses you that much? Of course he does, Dad. He's my husband, she replied as soon as we sat down to eat. Oh, I was wondering, does Rye speak Hungarian too? You must have taught him. Oh, I wish, darling. He's a bit dense and already speaks 2 languages. I think his head is rather full at this point to overload it. Yeah, that guy, smarter than anyone in the room but doesn't get a single word of Hungarian. It's so odd, but it's okay. We don't force it on anyone. Wait a second, if Rye doesn't speak a word of Hungarian, then who was Natasha talking to? I let the thought sink in. I knew I had to dig a bit deeper before jumping to conclusions. So I asked, is Ray going to join us anytime soon? Didn't you say you'd bring him home this time? No, unfortunately, he's left the country for a while for some business in Texas, but he said he'll try to swing by on his way to New York. Nat, the wedding is next week. I don't know about you, but I need him to be here. That's an order from the father of the bride. Chill out, Dad. He'll be here, I promise. Okay, fine, he better be. At that moment, I felt like showing off my Hungarian skills, but I kept quiet. Ray was away on a business trip, and Natasha rarely spent time with us whenever she was home. She was always talking to someone in perfect Hungarian. Something didn't feel right about the whole situation. After all, where did she go all the time? Surely her friends had work to do, so who was she spending so much time with? I needed to dig a bit deeper. A few days passed, and Natasha's behavior became more aggressive. My mother-in-law and I were going dress shopping with some friends. Natasha looked uninterested, but Mila dragged her along anyway. I wasn't too keen on having her there, but I couldn't say no to my mother-in-law. We found the perfect white dress, which felt just right for the wedding. I still remember what Natasha mumbled when I tried it on. There's no way I've been dragged all the way here just for this woman to pick that dress. It's completely classless and not even worth pennies. Sorry, what was that, Nat? I didn't quite catch you. I said it looks so beautiful on you, I could cry. It reminded me of my wedding. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. Oh, someone's been practicing. 2 words and you're proud? It'll take you 2 years to make a sentence at this pace. I just smiled at her as if I didn't know what she was saying. The days kept rolling by, and the wedding day was getting closer. One day I was cleaning up at home by myself. Kevin and Craig had gone out to buy something, and we ladies were alone in the house. Natasha had just received a package from someone. It looked like a gift. I was cleaning around anyway, so I decided to walk over to the hall right outside her room. She was already on the phone, screaming in excitement. "Oh my God, you didn't? This dress is so pretty, and you remembered my size and my colors, Sergio. My dense husband could never." Wait, who's Sergio? Is Natasha having an affair? I didn't want to think about this possibility. In fact, I hoped my suspicions were wrong, but the more I heard her talk, the more real it became for me. I won't go into all the details, but it seemed like they met right here, years before she got married. Poor Ray has no idea, does he? Even the family seems clueless. However, I didn't expect to let it all out so easily when she spoke up about me at my wedding. The day arrived and the ceremony gave me butterflies. Craig and I were finally united, but it was the after party that was the highlight of the evening. Natasha had invited her friends over, and some of the family's cousins were there too. Ray had flown in from Texas for the wedding, and he seemed like a great guy, but Natasha barely paid any attention to him. She looked like she had something to drink because she was louder than usual, laughing and giving me bold looks. I couldn't hear what she was saying because this was my moment. I didn't want to pay attention to her, but then it happened. She said something like, "I'm so done with this whole wedding. Honestly, I'm just here to drink and look prettier than the bride. I give this marriage tops a year before my brother gets bored of her, like a dog with a dirty bone. Mark my words." And that was it. Something inside me snapped. When everyone was at the table, I lifted a glass and tapped it with a spoon to make a toast. That's when I let out all the Hungarian I'd practiced for so long. Even Jenna was at the table, and I knew I had to impress her. So, as you all know, I've been practicing my Hungarian for a while now. Today, I can proudly give a speech without stumbling, all thanks to my teacher Jenna. Thank you, Jenna. But today isn't about you or me, it's about Craig and his family. I've loved everyone so much. Mila, Kevin, oh, and my dear Natasha. I thought Natasha was the perfect sister to my Craig, but maybe that's why I was so disappointed in her. Disappointed? Can you speak in English so we all understand, please? Oh, I'm sure Natasha will fill you in, Ray. Anyway, a few weeks have passed now, and I can't keep this in anymore. Nat, I'm so sorry for you and Ray, but whatever you've been through, I don't think cheating on such a good man is the right thing to do. Could you please put down that glass and tell everyone who Sergio is? Natasha's jaw dropped, her eyes wide open as the blood drained from her face. She stuttered as she tried to speak. What are you talking about, you insane woman? I'm sorry, is it too difficult for you to get in Hungarian, with all the wine you've had today? Let me put it simply, Sergio. He's your secret lover, isn't he, Nat? He gave you that beautiful dress you've been talking about on the phone all this time. Honey, what is going on right now? Ask your sister. She's the one who's been cheating on Ray for so long. How long exactly, Nat? Care to tell us in either of the two languages? The whole dinner table fell silent. Natasha was getting all sorts of looks from everyone. Ray looked like he was in complete disbelief. It was as if someone had dropped a bomb in the middle of the room. Is this true? Ray asked. Natasha didn't say a word. Tears began rolling down her face as she slammed her glass on the table and ran off. Ray just sat there, shell-shocked by everything. The table was silent for a while until I announced it was time to hit the dance floor. Soon, everyone decided to deal with the awkwardness later and danced a few steps with their partners and dates. Ray and Natasha disappeared from the wedding. A few months later, their divorce came through quite unexpectedly. I never heard from Natasha again, and she never came back home. Mila and Kevin were quite disappointed in her for what she did, and it was awkward between us for a while. But they appreciated that I exposed her sooner rather than later. Either way, that look of sheer fright and anguish on her face was worth it. I don't think she'll ever find a man as good as Ray again. Good riddance to her for sure. Hi there, my name is Audrey, and today I'm 30 years old. I have a story to share about how I became a millionaire thanks to two greedy people. Let's just say karma always catches up to those who do wrong. I first met my husband Gavin during a work trip organized by our office. We were both heads of different departments in the company, but had never met before. On the trip, there were various activities including games and sports. I got hurt during a volleyball game and sprained my ankle. Gavin quickly helped me and carried me to the infirmary to get first aid. I thought he was very kind and wanted to get to know him better. When we got back from the trip, I reached out to him and asked if he'd like to go out for coffee. He agreed right away, and we set a date to meet at a local cafe. During the date, we talked about the trip, our interests, and our families. I realized that Gavin and I had similar tastes in sports, TV shows, and hobbies. Gavin told me he was very close to his mother, Meg, and visited her at least twice a week. He said, I've always been really close to my mother. We make it a point to see each other at least twice a week. I replied, that's sweet. I'm glad you have a good relationship with her. What about your father? Gavin's face changed and he said, well, he left us a few years ago, and we don't have much contact. I asked, is everything okay between you two? It's complicated, Audrey. Let's just say it didn't work out. What do you mean? He's your father, not your boyfriend. Yeah, but he wasn't very helpful, so my mom and I left. Not helpful how? Financially or emotionally? You know what, we have a lot of other things to talk about. Can we please move on? Oh, of course. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to pry. I just wanted to get to know you better. We can talk about something else. I didn't think much about it and figured it was just a sensitive topic for Gavin. I was sure he'd open up more as we got closer. After that day, we met up a few more times over the next few weeks, and even at work, I started having lunch with him daily. In a few months, we became very close and things got serious. I knew his birthday was coming up, so I decided to plan a surprise party for him. I got our friends to help with the planning and guest list. Since I knew how close Gavin was to Meg, I thought it made sense to invite her to the party too. I wasn't sure about inviting his father, so I decided not to, as I didn't want anything to ruin Gavin's birthday. The day of the party arrived, and I finished decorating and setting up Gavin's apartment, then got the cake and food ready. Guests started arriving, and everyone was excited for Gavin to come. Just before Gavin was supposed to arrive, a middle-aged woman walked to the door. She was dressed in a fancy green evening gown and had a branded handbag. I walked over to her and introduced myself. Hello, I'm Audrey. You must be one of Gavin's close relatives. It's nice to meet you. How do you know Gavin? Oh, finally someone with some manners. I'm Meg, Gavin's mother, and yes, I'm the most important guest here. He's my son, Of course, Meg. I didn't mean to offend you. Gavin talks so fondly about you. Please come in and make yourself comfortable. Well, I should hope so. I practically raised him all by myself. I hope you've done a decent job planning this party. I've put in a lot of effort, and our friends have been a great help too. I hope you enjoy it. We'll see about that. Just make sure you don't get in the way of my time with Gavin. He's my boy after all. Of course, I wouldn't want to come between you two. Gavin cherishes his relationship with you, and I respect that. However, Meg didn't seem impressed by anything I did. She loudly criticized the decorations and even started insulting the other guests at the party. I didn't react to any of Meg's actions and kept being polite, hoping she would eventually like me. Soon, I heard Gavin's car approaching, so I went outside to greet him. The surprise party went well, and Gavin was thrilled with the effort I had put in. We cut the cake and gave him our presents. Meg insisted on being next to Gavin in all the pictures, even the ones with just him and me. She also claimed her gift was the best, and Gavin would love it the most. To my surprise, Gavin didn't stop Meg from making a fuss. Instead, he catered to all her demands, making sure she was always by his side. When it was time for dinner, everyone took their seats at the table. Gavin stood up to make a toast, thanking everyone for coming to his birthday party. He said he had a very important announcement to make and was glad everyone was there to hear it. Before I could react, he got down on one knee, pulled out a ring, and asked me to marry him. I was overjoyed and cried happy tears before excitedly saying yes. Everyone cheered and congratulated us, but I noticed Meg got up and left the table. Confused, I pointed it out to Gavin. Babe, your mom left the table. Is everything okay? We should find her and get her blessing. She'll be upset if we don't. Gavin replied, but why do we need her blessing? This is our decision, isn't it? Babe, you know I always talk to my mom about important decisions. We're really close, and I value her opinion. I get that she's important to you, but isn't this about us? Shouldn't we make decisions together? Of course we do, but I can't ignore her. She means a lot to me. Can we just find her and talk to her about giving us her blessing? I started to feel concerned. No one should be that dependent on their parents, but I let it go because I loved him and wanted his mother to approve of me too. We searched for Meg all over the house but couldn't find her. Eventually, we saw her sitting quietly in the backyard. We approached her and asked for her blessing, which she reluctantly gave after Gavin asked. Gavin apologized, saying, "Mom, I'm sorry I didn't talk to you before proposing to Audrey. It just happened in the moment, and I thought it was the perfect time." Meg responded, "Well, Gavin, you usually discuss big decisions with me. I felt left out this time." "I know, and I didn't mean to upset you. I planned to talk to you the next day, but the surprise party changed everything. I understand it was unexpected, but you should have found a way to talk to me before making such a big decision. You're right, Mom. I should have. I got caught up in the excitement, and Audrey has been so amazing and supportive. I wanted to show her how much she means to me. I can see you really love her, Gavin. I just want you to remember to include me in your life, especially with important matters. I promise, Mom, I'll work on communicating better with you. You're an important part of my life, and I want you to be part of Audrey's and my journey together. That's all I ask, dear." I decided not to listen to the rest of their conversation because I started feeling like I was eavesdropping, even though I wasn't. As I walked away, I heard Meg telling Gavin that I wasn't good enough for him, that he should reconsider marrying me, and that I wasn't beautiful enough and was only interested in Gavin for his money. I ignored Meg's taunts and pretended I didn't hear them. Over the next few weeks, we started planning our wedding. Meg didn't help with any of the preparations. She tried to dictate which dress I should wear and threw a tantrum when I told her I wanted to choose my own. She also met with me a few times to tell me that I should pay more than half of the wedding expenses, saying I was lucky to be marrying Gavin and needed to contribute. I didn't take these incidents to heart, thinking she would warm up to me once we were married. Finally, after weeks of planning, my wedding day arrived. I was in my dressing room, surrounded by my bridesmaids and my mother, getting ready. Everyone told me how beautiful I looked in my flowing white dress. Then I heard a knock at the door and saw Meg walk in. To my shock, she was wearing a white wedding dress. "Why are you wearing a wedding dress?" I asked. "Today is my son's wedding day, and it's more important to me than anything else," Meg replied. "I chose to wear this dress to highlight my significance as the mother of the groom." "I understand it's an important day for you, but isn't it customary for the bride to wear white? It might take away from Audrey's moment," my mother pointed out. "Well, that's not my concern," Meg said. "Gavin is my only son, and I deserve attention on this occasion too." "Of course, Meg," my mother said, "but today is primarily about Audrey and Gavin's love and commitment. It's their special day." "I know that, but I'm just making a statement. My presence here matters as much as anyone else's," Meg insisted. I was furious but decided not to cause a scene and ruin the day. The rest of the ceremony went well. We exchanged vows and rings, and it was emotional for both of us since we had been waiting for this day for a long time. During the wedding planning, I had asked Gavin to handle the guest list. I noticed he hadn't included his father and asked if he was sure about that decision. Gavin said his father had abandoned them and had no place at such an important celebration. I wanted to change his mind but decided to drop the subject, not wanting to upset him. The months after our wedding were blissful. We spent every moment together and started planning to buy our own house. Gavin and I had always wanted to live together, but decided to get married first before making such a decision. We began house hunting, spending a few hours every day looking for our dream home. One day, Gavin called me at work. "Hey babe, I'm sorry, but an important meeting has come up. I won't be able to go house hunting with you today." "No worries, darling, it happens. Don't stress about it. I can handle it on my own." "Oh, thanks for understanding. I'll make it up to you, I promise." "You better. Just focus on your meeting and we'll catch up later. Love you." "Love you too, babe." After work, I got into my car and drove to the location of the property. I saw that the house was on the 10th floor of a building still under construction. When I arrived, I met with the realtor, who informed me that another guest had arrived under our name to look at the property. Knowing Gavin was busy, I was confused about who this person could be. To my shock, I saw my mother-in-law, Meg, waiting impatiently at the door. I asked her why she had come to see the property. She said she wanted to make sure the house was good enough for her son and that it had a place for her to stay when she visits. I didn't want Meg involved, but I let her join me to avoid making Gavin angry. We began the tour, and Meg didn't stop criticizing the building and saying the house wasn't up to her standards. By the end of the tour, I was very frustrated and wanted to leave as quickly as possible. The realtor stepped away to take a call and told us he'd show us the rest of the property when he returned. He also warned us to be careful, as the house was still under construction and could be dangerous. I started walking around and noticed an unfinished staircase outside the house. Suddenly, I felt someone kick my right leg. I lost my balance and fell down the stairs. I couldn't move and felt bruises on my arms and head. I looked up to see Meg smiling in victory before she quickly turned and left. I was in shock, unable to understand what had just happened, and I couldn't move for a few minutes. Eventually, I found my phone in my pocket and called an ambulance. As I was taken to the hospital, I couldn't stop thinking about how Meg had tried to push me down the stairs to injure me. I had been nothing but kind to her, and her behavior left me both sad and angry. At the hospital, I underwent first aid and several scans. I tried calling Gavin multiple times, but he didn't pick up. The medication made me drowsy, and I eventually fell asleep. The next morning, I tried calling him again. This time he answered, but his reaction was far from what I expected. Instead of concern, he sounded angry and accused me of lying. "I can't believe you're lying about this, Audrey," Gavin snapped. "You expect me to believe my own mother pushed you down the stairs?" "Gavin, I'm not lying. Meg kicked me and I fell. She deliberately hurt me," I pleaded. "You're just trying to cover up your actions. My mother said you were being aggressive. She would never hurt you for no reason," he retorted. "I can't believe you're taking her word over mine. She's been manipulating you, Gavin," I cried. "Stop it. She would never lie to me. She's my mother. I thought you loved me and trusted me. But now I need to be with her. She's in shock because of what you did," he said coldly. "You're choosing her over me, Gavin? After everything we've been through?" I asked, heartbroken. "You brought this on yourself, Audrey. Maybe you deserve this for what you did," he replied. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I began to cry and ended the call, overwhelmed with grief and disbelief. For the next 2 days, I was in shock. My injuries started to heal, and my parents visited, shocked at Gavin's reaction. My father suggested I look into Gavin's father, suspecting there was more to the story. Taking his advice, I hired a private investigator and contacted Gavin's father, Neil. At first, Neil was confused about who I was, but he soon understood the situation. I divorced Meg and left because she and Gavin were using me for my money. Gavin tried to steal from me by transferring my company into his name, Neil revealed. "Oh my goodness, I had no idea. That's terrible," I exclaimed. "Yes, it was a tough decision, but I couldn't let them take advantage of me any longer." "I want you to know that they're never up to any good," Neil warned. "Thank you, Neil. I believe you and I appreciate your help," I said. "I'm glad you do. I have a plan to handle this situation. I need you to get Gavin and Meg to visit you at the hospital tomorrow morning," Neil explained. "Why do you want them to come here?" I asked, feeling uneasy. "I need to confront them about their actions and protect you from further harm. It's time they face the consequences," Neil said firmly. Despite my fear and reluctance to see either Meg or Gavin, I knew I had to trust Neil if I wanted justice. I called Gavin and told him I had a special gift for him and Meg to apologize. I mentioned it was expensive and that I wanted to make sure they received it. Hearing the word expensive, Gavin and Meg readily agreed to visit the hospital. The next morning, Neil arrived at the hospital with flowers. I thanked him for his help. Just as we finished our conversation, Gavin and Meg walked in. They froze in shock, staring at Neil. "Neil, what's this about? Why are you here?" Gavin demanded. "I couldn't stand by and watch you and Meg manipulate Audrey any longer," Neil replied. "Manipulate? We didn't do anything wrong. She's the one causing trouble," Meg protested. "That's not true. Audrey has been through a lot because of both of you. It's time to end this charade," Neil said. "Dad, you're ruining everything. Audrey and I love each other, Gavin argued. I divorced your mother because of your actions, Gavin. You tried to take advantage of me and my company. I won't let Audrey face the same thing. These are divorce papers, Gavin, so Audrey can finally be free from your toxic influence, Neil announced. Meg snatched the papers from Gavin and screamed when she saw the $40 million inheritance that was supposed to go to Gavin would now go to me. Both Meg and Gavin's jaws dropped, and they began arguing with Neil before resorting to begging him to change his mind. Neil stood firm, telling them they deserved this for trying to hurt someone innocent like me. He then called hospital security to remove them from the room, and they were dragged out. I had gone through hell, but finally I got my revenge. Afterward, I maintained a good friendship with Neil, grateful for his help in ending the nightmare. Hey there, I'm Valentina, and I've been thinking a lot about life lately. I'm big on being independent, thanks to my amazing dad who raised me that way, but things got a bit complicated recently when I had some issues with my not-so-friendly mother-in-law. Let me tell you how my husband Alan and I met. We were interns at the same marketing job when I was 24. We became good friends, and as you can guess, spending more time together made us fall deeply in love. So when we found out we were expecting a baby last year, we couldn't resist getting married. Some might think it was just because of the baby, but we genuinely wanted to make it official. It was a special moment, and the only person who knew beforehand was my best friend, Kara. When we told our parents, the reactions were different. My family isn't your typical Hispanic family. My father started with very little but built a successful company despite facing challenges as a person of color. He always encouraged my mom and me to break stereotypes and chase our dreams. Because of our unique background, my parents were totally fine with us eloping and getting married. They were genuinely happy for us, and when we shared the baby news, they were overjoyed. However, Alan's parents didn't seem as thrilled. They weren't as engaged or excited about our marriage like my parents were. A week after we shared the news, my parents came over to our apartment for dinner, bringing their blessings and excitement. We invited Alan's parents too, but they didn't show up. Fast forward to my second trimester, and Alan's parents finally decided to visit us while they were in town for a friend's wedding. We all had dinner together at our place, but it was awkward. I was really looking forward to getting to know them better since we're family now, right? During dinner, Alan's dad kept asking questions about my dad's company, which made me uncomfortable. Alan's mom, Elaine, seemed especially focused on me, and it was clear she wasn't on my side. She made sarcastic comments that made me realize winning her over wouldn't be easy, but I knew I had to try for Alan's sake, because family means everything to him. The dinner was a disaster, and Elaine made it clear she wasn't happy. But I did my best for Alan, even though it was tough. Life went on, and Alan stayed busy with his marketing job, but dealing with his parents, especially Elaine, wasn't easy. While I was taking time off due to my pregnancy, we were about midway through the third trimester when my best friend Kara suggested it was time for a baby shower. We loved the idea. Being someone who loves to go all out, I wanted it to be the most amazing baby shower ever. We decided to invite all our friends and, of course, both of our families who hadn't met each other yet. It seemed like the perfect chance to bring everyone together. Kara, who's great at event planning, found us a beautiful, spacious botanical garden venue since our apartment couldn't fit so many people. About a week before the big day, we sent out invitations to all our friends and family, and both of our families confirmed they'd be there to celebrate with us. Both sets of parents arrived in town the day before the baby shower, and I had an idea. I suggested that we take them out to dinner to get to know each other in a more private setting before the big event. I thought it would be a great way to help everyone feel more comfortable before the baby shower. But little did I know, this plan would completely dampen my mood for the upcoming celebration. We made dinner reservations, and my mom was the first to arrive. I'd asked her where Dad was, and she said he got caught up with something important. As we were catching up at the table, Alan's parents joined us. My mother-in-law greeted my mom with a cold smile, and you could feel the tension in the air. Then my mom got up and shook hands with my father-in-law. "It's nice to meet you, Mariana." "Ah, nice to meet you." "Oh, we once hired a maid for our house who had the same last name as you," my mother-in-law said. We all just looked at each other, thinking, did she really just say that? Oh, really? That's an interesting coincidence. Anyway, let's order some drinks, my mom replied, trying to move on. That's a great idea. Also, why isn't your dad here, Valentina? Elaine asked, and just like that, her comment got swept under the rug. To be honest, I was fuming inside. How could she make such a thoughtless comment to my mom? It really got under my skin. I couldn't understand why Elaine would say something so hurtful and insulting, not just to me, but especially to my family. I tried to put myself in Elaine's shoes, wondering if maybe she had some reservations about me because Alan and I eloped without informing her. Maybe that was why she wasn't accepting of our relationship. But even then, that didn't excuse her rude behavior toward my mom. I felt terrible for my mom. I couldn't believe she had to sit through dinner with that hurtful comment hanging over her. It's one thing if Elaine didn't like me, but my mom didn't deserve any of that negativity. I tried my best to shift my focus away from the awkward encounter. The rest of the dinner was just small talk between the parents while Alan and I continued to chat about the baby and our excitement for the future. After dinner, when it was time for our parents to leave, I walked my mom out. While Alan was seeing his parents off, I felt the need to apologize to my mom for Elaine's behavior. Mom, I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for being here. I'm sorry about what Elaine said. She hasn't exactly warmed up to me yet, but I'm hoping she'll come around eventually. It's okay, Maija. You're a wonderful girl, and I know you'll win her over in time. Your dad and I will see you tomorrow. Get home safe. Bye, Valentina. Bye, love you. Tell Dad his presence was missed. The car ride home was just as awkward as the dinner. I was really hoping Alan would say something about his mom's behavior or at least explain it, but he didn't bring it up, and I was surprised. I decided not to confront him at that moment because I didn't want to ruin the baby shower. I figured I'd talk to him about it after the event, hoping we could sort things out then. So we got home, tried to sleep off the tension, and woke up to the big day. The baby shower. We reached the venue around noon, and Kara was already there, busy setting everything up with the workers. She was doing an amazing job, and the place looked incredible with balloons, confetti, flowers, decorations, glitter, and sparkles everywhere. Guests started arriving at 2, and Alan and I were on hosting duty, trying to make everyone feel welcome. But just as my parents showed up, Alan's parents walked in too, and I wasn't sure how to feel after the drama from the night before. I was still upset with Alan, but I kept my cool for the moment. Then, to my surprise, Elaine decided to break the ice. Hello, Mariana. Hello, Manuel. Hey, it's nice to see you again. You know, I've been thinking about what happened yesterday, and I just wanted to say I'm sorry for my behavior. It was totally uncalled for. No worries, it's nothing we can't move past. Let's just move forward and enjoy today, okay? This is my husband, Manuel. Manuel, meet Elaine. It's nice to finally meet you in person, Manuel, Elaine said. Likewise, Elaine. And oh, Mr. Herrera, this is my husband, William. Actually, William knows all about your company. Back in the day, you were quite the talk when you were up and coming. Nice, I know your husband too. The world is so small, my dad responded. Ah, what? You know my husband, William? Have you guys met before? Elaine asked, surprised. What just happened? It turns out that not only was Elaine caught off guard, but all of us were totally shocked to find out that William and my dad already knew each other. You've got to be kidding, right? How do you know him? I asked. Well, he works with me. Wait, hold on, none of us knew this. Dad, you have some explaining to do. Fill us in, please. He manages my $50 million portfolio, my dad admitted. What about that job with Christopher? Weren't you managing for him, William? Elaine questioned. Couldn't we just talk about this when we get home? William replied. Dad, why didn't you tell us about this before? You've been keeping this a secret from us? I asked, still trying to understand what was going on. Yeah, how did this even start? Alan added, It's not like that. It just never came up. Let's not make a big deal of it, okay? You have guests waiting, my dad said, trying to move on. Wow, what a whirlwind of a day it had been. The revelation that William and my dad knew each other took us all by surprise, and it just got swept under the rug during the baby shower. But honestly, I couldn't stop thinking about it. My father-in-law had been working for my dad. Why didn't William mention it last night when Alan brought up my dad at dinner? And did my dad already know him before hiring him? So many questions were swirling in my head. Despite the lingering mystery, the baby shower went well, but that topic was like an elephant in the room. Alan and I could no longer ignore it. He even told me that we needed to talk about it because he had no idea either. After the party wrapped up and we got home, we both decided to make those calls, individually of course. Alan called his dad and I called mine. We retreated to separate rooms and made our respective calls to our family members. We agreed that after talking, we'd compare notes and figure out the truth. Hey Dad. Maija, you should be resting. Today was a long day and the baby's due soon. I know, Dad, but I just wanted to talk to you about something first. How long has my father-in-law been working for you? For about a month now. I didn't realize he was your father-in-law when I hired him. It was just a coincidence. I mean, how could I possibly know? He had just been fired by his management team, and I gave the poor guy a chance. He knew all about you, though. A couple of months ago, when I met him and Elaine for the first time, he couldn't stop praising you and your company. It's just strange that he never mentioned me to you, don't you think? I asked, still puzzled. You know, people have their own ways of doing things, and sometimes they keep certain things to themselves. Maybe he had his reasons, my dad replied, trying to ease my concerns. I guess so, but it's still a bit odd. Get some rest and take care of yourself, Maija. Don't let this stuff keep you up at night. Good night. Okay, good night, Dad. I finished my call with my dad and was making my way to Alan's room to fill him in when I overheard him on the phone. He sounded pretty upset, so I tried to eavesdrop. Okay, Mom, what if Dad works for Valentina's dad? You're so obsessed with what people think, and you don't have to act superior all the time. Maybe that's why Dad kept this from you. He knew you'd make his life hell if you found out. I tried to let go of that Mariana incident, but you really went overboard, Mom. Insulting people won't make you better than them. I love Valentina, and I won't defend you again on this. Just get over it and accept her. Maybe apologize to her. Yeah, okay, bye. Once Alan was done, I played it cool, pretending I didn't hear a thing. We exchanged stories about our conversations with our respective parents, and I was completely honest, as was Alan. He addressed his dad's job situation. His dad had been in a tough spot, going through a rough patch after getting fired. William lucked out and got selected for my dad's job that he had posted about. He didn't mention it to Elaine and the rest of the family, knowing she'd flip out. She wouldn't want William working for Manuel because she wouldn't want her family to be in any way dependent on her son's wife's family. Her ego got in the way. I have to say that I admire Alan's dedication to making things work between us and his mom. He meant the world to me and wanted her to rethink her stance and apologize for her problematic comments. Despite her past antics, I was willing to give her another shot for Alan's sake. He said she just needed some time. A whole month passed and the baby was ready to make her grand entrance. Luckily, Alan was there when my water broke, and he rushed me to the hospital. We were blessed with a little girl, and we named her Catalina. She was just the cutest when I first saw her. Once we got home, our friends couldn't wait to meet our little baby girl. My parents caught a flight the very next day. Kara was all pumped up because now she had a niece to play dress-up with. Alan reached out to his mom and shared the news of our daughter's arrival. Even after weeks of not speaking to her, she didn't visit us for a whole week. But then, out of the blue, she called Alan and asked if she could make arrangements for my parents to visit so she could apologize and start anew with our family. I called my folks and asked if they could drop by for a day, and they were totally up for it. We were over the moon, feeling super strong as a couple and soaking up all the happiness. The big day finally arrived and Alan and I prepared some mouth-watering dishes to celebrate with everyone. Catalina was the star of the show, bringing our families together. Soon enough, everyone had gathered. My mom surprised me with the sweetest gift, a matching baby blanket and a pastel pink mummy scarf made out of soft wool that she had knitted herself. It was so thoughtful, and I cherished it dearly, keeping it safe in my room. As we all settled in, Alan's dad took the lead and apologized for not informing my dad earlier that he was my father-in-law. It was a good step to break the ice, and from there, everyone started mingling and getting along. My mom and Elaine even cleared the air, and it seemed like they were bonding over how adorable Catalina was and how she had gotten my eyes and Alan's nose. But in the middle of it all, I noticed Elaine was missing. I went to look for her and found her in my room. Elaine was soaking the scarf my mom made in her glass of fine wine, and to make matters worse, she poured the remaining wine all over the blanket. I could not believe the audacity of this woman. Without thinking, I snatched the wet scarf from Elaine's hands and stormed back into the living room where everyone was seated. All eyes were on me, and Elaine followed me out. Okay, that's it, Elaine. You've been driving me nuts since day one, insulting my parents, acting all high and mighty, and now ruining this sweet gift from my mom. You've been nothing but bitter, and you've treated me like trash. What the hell, Mom? What did you do now? Alan interjected. She ruined the present my mom got us. How immature is this? Why are you doing this? Being this petty isn't making you look good, you know. I've given you way too many chances. I've seriously given it so many tries to let go of the past and move on, but it's like you're stuck in your ways, huh? I've been putting in the effort to build a connection with you because I genuinely care about your son. I've put up with all the nonsense, but it's like you're not even willing to hear me out. You're just so set on trying to hurt me. I think it would be better if you just left and stayed away from my family. Alan, please, honey. You're my child, and yet you're the one who's acting like a child. We've tried to give you a chance to make things right, but you keep pushing it. I won't tolerate this behavior anymore. Dad, can you take Mom home? Elaine, maybe it's best if we go home now, William chimed in. Let me tell you, it was like a drama straight out of a reality show. When Alan put his foot down and asked his mom to leave, the whole room went silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Elaine's face turned white as a ghost, and she started bawling like a baby. It was like a soap opera unfolding right before our eyes. I have to admit, seeing the look on Elaine's face after her son asked her to leave was pretty satisfying. As she walked out with tears in her eyes, I couldn't help but feel a little vindicated, and it felt pretty darn good. I always believe in treating people with kindness and respect, but sometimes some folks just need to learn their lesson the hard way. Alan was very apologetic to my parents, and honestly, they deserved it. Even my dad told me that the next day my father-in-law reached out to him at work and apologized for his wife's behavior. But hey, we're done with all that nonsense now. We've cut off Elaine from our lives, and good riddance, I say. Ain't nobody got time for that negativity when we've got our adorable little Catalina in the picture. Alan was a bit down about his mom, but he's doing what's best for our little family, and honestly, she's been trying to reach out through William, but it's all just a show. I ain't falling for that act again. What goes around comes around, folks. Hi, I'm Nancy and I'm 24 years old. Getting married might have been a questionable decision for me. I was young and thought I'd found the love of my life, but things changed quickly. I wish I could remember everything perfectly, but honestly, I'd rather forget. I got engaged in late December. It was cold in Oklahoma, but whenever I was with Paul, my husband, it felt warm. His mom, Jackie, seemed like a calm woman, someone who'd be easy to live with. Paul's dad wasn't around anymore, so I respected Jackie a lot for raising him on her own. Unfortunately, this would end up affecting our relationship in a big way. You can marry him, but he'll always be my boy, understand? Jackie told me that the first day after the wedding, her tone was off, and suddenly, the calmness I saw in her was gone. She sounded strict and bitter. Had I done something wrong? Of course, Jackie, you are his mom after all. You can think of me as your daughter too if you'd like, I said. I don't need a daughter. Now go do the dishes. I want you to make something fresh and delicious for your first day. You've got to impress your mother-in-law, right? Oh, okay, of course, Jackie. I'll do my best. Why was she being so rude to me all of a sudden? I couldn't figure it out. It was like she was a completely different person. Paul was somewhere in the backyard trimming the bushes, but I was sure he could hear us. Either way, I cleaned the kitchen for lunch. No one had cleaned the dishes from the night before, so I had to do it all by myself. It felt like I was doing someone else's work, but I didn't complain. Maybe Jackie was just having a bad day. It would get better in a day or two, I was sure of it. Later in the evening, I relaxed with Jackie and Paul. He and I were talking a bit, but Jackie kept giving us looks. Soon, I prepared dinner for the first time for Jackie. I was desperate for her approval. Oh, this food is kind of terrible. Where'd you learn how to cook? Jackie said. Oh, come on, Mom, it's not that bad, Paul chimed in. It's that bad, Paul. I thought you loved this dish, I replied. Get over yourself. My son has higher standards than that, don't you, my baby? Yeah, Ma, I don't think it's all that bad, just add some salt. Honestly, I'm surprised it's edible. You could have cooked the meat more, Nancy. Any more undercooked, and I'd swear this slime was still bleeding. I'm so sorry. We can throw it out, and I'll make something else really fast. Oh no, please sit down and eat. The damage is done. Paul, call the ambulance. I'm about to eat this. If my liver fails, know that I love you. And Nancy, know that your food barely qualifies as edible. These taunts only became more frequent with time. Jackie would force me to cook and then insult the food until it was too cold to eat. She'd even complain when we got takeout from a local fast food place. You know, Nancy, I don't think it's worth gaining as much weight as you have over food that tastes like this. Honestly, how did you even manage to marry my son when your taste in everything else is so terrible? I couldn't take it anymore and ran out crying. Paul came to me about half an hour later. He was such a different man around his mother. When I met him at work, he was vocal and encouraging. Now it was like he was chained to his mom, never standing up for me or saying anything. Hey, I'm sorry about the way things have been lately. I know you and Mom are not getting along. Look, she's just not used to having another person around, so she's lashing out. I know in my heart that she loves you. Paul and I were talking things over one day. Jackie had gone out to do some grocery shopping, so we had some alone time. Paul, you couldn't be more clueless. Your mom always sounds like she hates me and everything I do. I've tried my best, but it's not working out. What do I even do here? Time, Nancy, just give it time. She'll soften up, I know it. You're the one who's gone soft. You never say anything to her. You never take a stand for me. What happened to you, Paul? What happened to me? I'm the same. I don't know what you're talking about, but that woman is my mother. Why would I ever stand against her? Because she's being horribly unfair to me. What did I even do to deserve this from her? I'm just trying to be part of the family. And that's the problem, Nancy. Being part of the family will take time and effort. Lots of it. I just say roll with the punches. It'll grow on you. This is her way of showing love, okay? Forget about it. How about we go catch a movie? I suggested. Paul replied, I just feel like being alone right now. Then why did you get married? Paul joked. Come on, stop being down. Watch a movie with me, and we'll have a good time. I promise. I finally agreed, even though I was unhappy with how things had been lately. I hoped the movie theater would give us some time alone, away from Jackie. We got there before Jackie came home. Once we had our popcorn and settled in our seats, Paul's phone rang. Hello, Mom. Yes, we went to watch a movie. I left a note on the fridge. Didn't you see it? What do you want to talk about now? Okay, hold on. What happened? I'm so sorry. I think I need to talk to her for a minute. I'll step out and be back in just 5 minutes, okay? Paul got up and left the theater. He said he'd be right back, but he stayed gone the entire movie. He only came back when the credits were rolling. I went to check on him later, but I couldn't find him in the halls, and his phone was still busy. It was clear that Jackie kept Paul occupied even when she wasn't around. It was getting hard to handle. I had some alone time in the theater to think. Maybe it was partly Paul's fault for always letting Jackie have her way. How could he leave me like this after promising we'd have a good time? When he came back, I was furious. Are you serious? Where have you been? I demanded. Whoa, where's this coming from? Paul asked, confused. You left for 2 hours, you didn't watch the movie with me, and you weren't even in the halls. Where were you? Relax, we can still watch the credits together. Isn't that enough? And no, I wasn't in the halls. I had somewhere to be. And where was that? I asked. I went to help Mom. With what? Groceries. You left me alone to help Jackie with groceries? What did she need help with? She's an old woman, Nancy. She can't do it all by herself. Oh, so she can drive to the store and buy groceries, but suddenly she needs your help to put them in the fridge, and you just said yes. Can you stop making a big deal out of this? I already told you, she's my mother. I can't say no to her. I'm so upset right now. I'm going to the car, I said, leaving the theater. Paul followed me, but he didn't say a word. Something didn't add up. I knew he didn't go home just for groceries. There was more to it. Maybe they met up to talk without me. Going to the movies and leaving me there was a perfect way to get rid of me for a few hours. But maybe I was overthinking it. When we got home, Jackie had nothing nice to say. "Oh, you're back. How lovely. What were you up to while my poor boy helped me with all the groceries, eating popcorn?" "Jackie, it was Paul's idea to take me to the movies. It's not my fault you needed help with groceries, and he left so suddenly." "Oh, you have some nerve talking to me like that, girl. Do you know who I am? I'm his mother. He'll do whatever I want, won't you, boy?" "Mom, can we stop talking about this already? I'm tired and want to sleep." "I'd be tired too if I was married to her. Go take your nap and I'll make dinner. Nancy, why don't you make yourself useful and go get some chicken from the supermarket? I forgot to get it today." "Fine," I agreed, even though I didn't want to go. But I wanted to get away from her at any cost. I got in the car and started driving away. I didn't know if I could tell my parents how things were going at home. I decided to drive to my brother's place instead. He lived just a few miles away, and he's always had my back. Having a sibling who understands you is such a blessing. "Acis, how's it going? What brings you here so suddenly?" Rob asked. "You have no idea, Rob. Things are really bad for me right now," I replied. "Wait, what? I thought you really liked him. What happened?" "It's like he's a different person around his mother. They both keep bothering me, and she says awful things all the time. I don't know if I can handle it. Sometimes I don't even feel like eating because of the horrible things she says about my body." "What?" She said that. "Tell me everything right now," Rob demanded. So I told him about the hurtful comments, the constant mocking, and the mean things Jackie said. Rob was furious, not just with Jackie, but also with Paul for not standing up for me. He had believed it would be good to me when we got married, but now his trust was broken, just like mine. "We need to have some kind of intervention," Rob suggested. "Don't do anything extreme, but don't suffer in silence either. The next time she says something hurtful, we respond. We don't tolerate bullying." "You're right," I agreed. "I'll stay strong and stand up for myself. And if it gets too bad, I know I can always come here." "Exactly," Rob reassured me. "Don't worry, if it gets out of hand, we'll deal with it together. You're not alone, Neve." "Okay, Rob. Thank you so much." Rob has always been a protective big brother, but unlike Jackie, he knows how to be protective without overshadowing me. On my way back home, I quickly grabbed some chicken. I knew Jackie would have something to say because I was late. "What did you do? Eat a whole chicken on your way home and then go back to grab another one," she sneered. "That's enough, Jackie. You don't have to be so rude to me." I finally stood up for myself. "Oh, look what your wife is saying to me, Paul. Do you really think you can talk to me like that and get away with it?" Jackie came close, glaring at me. Her eyes were so intense, it felt like she wanted to scare me. But I stood my ground, even though I was terrified. No one had ever been this angry at me before, not to the point where it felt like they might actually hurt me. When I didn't back down, Jackie shoved me and snatched the chicken away from me. "You're lucky your husband isn't awake. He'd divorce you right now if I asked him to. All I'd have to do is show him how terrible you are at everything. If I'm so terrible, why did he marry me? Wasn't it you who supported us?" I shot back. Yes, it was. But at the time, I thought you'd be a good helping hand in my old age. Turns out, that was a mistake. You're not even good enough to be a qualified maid. If you want a maid, just pay to have one, you cheapskate, I retorted. "Don't you dare call me a cheapskate. You don't know who you're dealing with. The man you call your husband was raised by my hand, and my hand alone. And my hand can decide if you stay or go. Right now, I'm tempted to let you go." Jackie screamed at me so loudly that I was sure the whole neighborhood heard. I couldn't hold back my tears anymore. I broke down sobbing and ran into the backyard, slamming the sliding door behind me. I sat down in the grass and cried my heart out. I finally decided I couldn't handle it anymore and called Rob. I told him everything, and he came over the next morning. When the doorbell rang, Jackie walked up to the door and peered through the peephole. "Rob? Nancy, you called your brother. What's this supposed to be?" she asked, surprised. Rob was big and could be intimidating if he wanted to be. To me, he was like a big teddy bear, but he could easily look like a wrestler when needed. "Rob wants to talk to you and Paul about everything that's been going on. You're not treating me kindly, and I can't keep living like this," I told her. "Are you serious right now? This matter didn't need to leave our living room, and you decided to call him in the morning because Paul's at work, didn't you?" Jackie said, clearly annoyed. Just open the door, Jackie, I insisted. I wished Paul was around when Rob visited, but this was the only time he could come. Jackie made a face but opened the door with a fake smile, trying to seem pleasant as if Rob would believe her act. "Oh, Rob, it's been so long since I've seen you. How have you been? You look healthy." "Thank you, it's been a while. Can I come in?" Rob replied. Of course. Please come in. Nancy, get some water for your big brother," Jackie said, still pretending. "It's okay, I just had some in my car," Rob said as he walked in. His presence quickly filled the room. He moved around, inspecting the house, and then settled on the couch in front of Jackie. I sat down next to him. "So what brings you here?" "Just a visit?" Jackie asked. "No, actually I wanted to check up on Nancy. She mentioned some trouble," Rob responded. "Oh, what trouble?" "I think we've been getting along splendidly, haven't we, Nancy? Why don't you tell him?" "She's already told me enough," Rob cut in. "Let's get to the point. You've been having some, let's say, adjustment issues with my sister. I understand there have been constant fights." "Oh, I wouldn't call them fights, just banter. It happens between mothers and daughters. My mother-in-law and I exchanged quite a few words back in the day, too. Sadly, she passed away before Paul was born. I'm sorry to hear that, but this banter needs to stop. Nancy isn't fond of it. Marriage should be about mutual respect, even from the rest of the family. Right, Nancy?" Rob said. "Yes, I think it's time to settle this and make peace, Jackie. And what dispute would that be? Why have you changed? Why do you hate me so much all of a sudden? Did I do something to upset you? Oh my God, do we have to do this in front of your brother?" "Don't mind me, I'm here to make sure you two settle this properly," Rob said, staying calm. "Fine, it's because I don't like to share, okay? My son has been mine and only mine our whole lives, and now you're here, expecting him to give all his time to you. That doesn't sit right with me. He's my husband, and he doesn't give his time to me, he gives it to you, which is exactly how it shouldn't be," I replied, frustrated. "I don't believe this. This is so childish of you," I added, raising my voice. "Don't you dare yell at me and call me a child," Jackie shot back. Okay, relax, both of you," Rob intervened. "Yelling won't solve anything." "What will fix this, Rob? Do you have any bright ideas?" Jackie asked, her tone suddenly shifting, which made me uneasy. "Look, I can see there's a problem. I think the only way to solve this is for you two to spend some time alone together, trying to understand each other. Maybe a change of pace, do something fun together instead of just handling the house and work," Rob suggested. "What are you suggesting?" Jackie asked, curious. "Take a trip. I think a little family vacation would be a wonderful idea. The weather here is a bit annoying right now anyway. Wouldn't you like an exotic trip, Jackie?" Rob offered. "Oh, I most certainly would, but what makes you think we can afford one after the wedding?" Jackie replied. "Don't worry about that. I have a friend who runs a travel company. I can take care of most of the expenses. Consider it a gift from Nancy's brother," Rob said reassuringly. "Are you serious right now? Where would we even go?" Jackie asked, surprised. "How does France sound?" Rob suggested. "Oh my God, France sounds lovely." "Rob, you don't have to do this. It'll be so expensive for you guys," I said, feeling a bit guilty. "Come on, Nancy, it's a gift. You have to appreciate it," Rob insisted. "But there's a condition," Rob added. "Jackie, you too, Nancy. The two of you have to try to get along with each other." "We'll do our best, won't we, Nancy?" Jackie said, her eyes suddenly full of promise. I'd never seen her this excited before, not even at the wedding. I didn't fully trust her, but I did deserve a break from everything. France sounded lovely this time of year, so I agreed. That evening when Paul came home, we broke the news to him. He was ecstatic and dropped his work bag to celebrate with us. Finally, it felt like the three of us were getting along. I was skeptical at first, but maybe Rob's idea was working. Paul managed to get a few days off from work the next week, and we started packing for the trip. "Hey, do you remember the cute bags we got for our little trip to Florida? The ones that look alike?" Paul asked. "Yes, do you think we should take them with us?" I replied. "Of course. I love those bags, they remind me of that trip," Paul said, smiling. Jackie seemed a bit detached from us. She often called someone and talked to them for hours. I thought she might be realizing her mistakes and giving us some space, but she still made some odd comments about Paul not giving her enough time. She didn't talk to me much, but one time I overheard her and Paul arguing in her room. The door was closed, so I couldn't hear much. "Mom, she's my wife. I have to give her at least a little time. I thought you were okay now. What's wrong?" Paul said. "I'm not okay. I want to be, but I'm not. I still can't get myself to like her," Jackie admitted. "What do you want me to do?" Paul asked, frustrated. "I need to have more time with you. You were like this when I had you, but that's why we're taking the trip, so you get to like each other. And I'm always going to be around, aren't I?" Paul said, trying to reason with her. "All of you are living in fantasies." "Fine, I'll do something about this myself," Jackie snapped. "What are you going to do?" Paul asked. "Look, here's the plan and I need you to go along with it," Jackie whispered. I couldn't hear the rest, but I knew they had some plan. I was concerned but didn't do much about it. I hoped everything would work out fine if I just paid attention to what they were doing. We packed our bags. Both mine and Paul's looked similar, but I could always tell which was which by the weight. On the day of departure, Jackie looked unusually happy. She even talked to me and didn't make any weird faces. I found it intriguing, but guessed it was because we were finally going on the trip. At the airport, we had to go through customs. We put our bags on the conveyor belt to be scanned. Jackie leaned in to whisper something odd in my ear. "It's going to be such fun." I didn't say anything. I already knew what she was up to. We moved through the line. My bags were inspected, and everything was fine, so I was allowed to go through customs. When I turned around, I saw Jackie's face filled with confusion. What was she scheming? Then it hit me. Paul hadn't come out yet. We looked around to see officers rushing to the customer counter. They were escorting Paul away as he pleaded, "Please, please, I'm so sorry. I didn't do anything. I don't know where that came from." Jackie rushed to his aid, but the officers held her back. "Please stay back, ma'am. We found something illegal with this person. We need to take him to interrogation. He's my son. Please, he didn't do anything wrong." Jackie cried, but her pleas were in vain. Jackie had a breakdown right there in public, but I didn't move an inch. I knew what was going through that woman's head. She must have been cursing herself for what she did. Jackie had tried planting a small pack of drugs in my bag before we left, and she was successful. The bags looked identical, but she recognized mine and put the pack in it. But why didn't I get caught? It's because I removed it from my bag and put it in Paul's instead. They planned on excluding me from the trip entirely, so I turned their plan against them. I had the biggest smile on my face when Jackie looked back at me through her tears. She deserved what she got. I took my vacation to France and divorced Paul once I got back. I was hoping to make things work, but this was a clear sign that they never would. I stood my ground just like my brother had told me to. It was the justice I deserved.